Guys, 2 o'clock, welcome to the close. We will take you right through to 4 p.m. this afternoon. 2 hours to go in the trading session here. What a bounce back again today. 2 days in a row, 2 afternoons specifically in a row that we've seen the buyers step back in. Here we go with a look at how things stand at this point. 0.6% for the S&P 500, 0.3 there for the Dow. Yeah, it's tech. Very, very strong for tech stocks right across the board. 1.3 for the NASDAQ. Nice bounce back day for the TSX here in Toronto as well. Up about 0.7, 3.8% for crude oil. I'll show you the board here in a second. Man, some of these oil stocks having a huge day. 2.5 for Bitcoin. 5.25% there for Ethereum. So a really nice day right across the board for everything at this point. Here we go. This is the S&P 500 currently. This is the energy sector currently. Apache up 8% on the day. Wow. Oxy up 7%. HES here 5%. There's XOM. 2-month highs for XOM. We'll talk about, or 2-year highs, I should say, not month, for XOM today. We'll talk about some energy stocks here coming up. Wanted to mention some of the consumer discretionary names, specifically travel over here having a bounce back day as well. LVS there about 8%, CCL, MGM, RCLs here as well, all in positive territory. Yeah, tech, there they are. AMD, Xilinx here. There's basically all of the semiconductors really in positive territory. Hardware equipment makers and some of the software names in pretty good shape so far. To the downside over here, utility stocks. I mean, they've been really strong over the past week or so. So a bit of a pullback in that group. So another kind of rotation day. Moderna 4.5% to the downside today after strength all week long. ILMN and Biogen there, BIIB, both in pretty good shape. Quick look at the NASDAQ before we get into some individual names here. Peloton, yeah, I heard they're selling shoes now, so you can buy your Peloton shoes with your bike, I guess. PDD, JD.com, all the Chinese names having a great day so far. There's all the specifically software and semiconductor names, but really nice day for technology, as we said. So let's get into it, shall we? It's going to be a pretty interesting afternoon here as we head through the final 2 hours. We're going to talk about some of the tech stocks, obviously, some of the EV makers in back to the upside today in a big way right across the board. Lucid with a monster move on a decent name. We'll talk Ford, we'll talk GM. Neil's going to kick us off right now with another one in that group. Here's Neil.
Yeah, it's going to be riveting. They had some disappointing production numbers today, so it's not always about going over your winners. Sometimes it's about how did you lose? How could you have done better? Was there a way to come out positive, even being in the wrong direction? Hey, people don't go to YouTube to watch Phil Hellmuth win in poker hands. Sometimes let's take a look at when you get absolutely run over and as short as a train wreck in a case like Lucid, how could you do a little bit better here? And I'm going to start by pointing out on the 15-minute chart, I've got a bunch of levels marked off here, but I just want to quickly show here. You've got this randomly at $80. Intersecting what is a cluster back and forth, nothing really key there. You've got the pre-market high at 79.40. I'm going to come back to all of these. You have the actual top end of the range from yesterday, which is about 81.5 to about 82 here, that you can see here at that nice little bottom. You have this lower high that got put in some resistance of about 83.5 to 84, and then you've got the this 85 level up top. So that sets the stage of what were key levels and what weren't. But I want to start with the one that wasn't, because that's at 80 level. And you can see right here, multiple places were short. I'm going to start with the worst one, and that was picking the even $1.80. It's the only one that was intersecting a cluster, and you can see both times shorting in here. It didn't give you a good opportunity that was clean, even though it pulled back. This is 80.50. It blew through the level, gives you 50, 60 cents. You have to hold it against you. I don't take profit. I actually try to short it again at 80, and there's no clean out. Juxtapose that with the pre-market high. 3 separate short trades off the pre-market high, and only one of which is a loser at the end, but you do see you're able to scalp that out for clean wins in a clean range. There's 1 wick top, but then you're able to jam right back in, and there's nothing above that price level. You go to that 81 to 81.5 area, it's the same thing. It gives you a turnaround. It gives you an obvious opportunity to get back into it. And then, of course, if you're going to do this where you're going back to the well, scalping in and out of trades at each of these key levels, well, the thing about it is you miss one. And you're going to notice right here, right off of this level here, I have absolutely nothing. It's going to stink. And it was pretty clean right around that 83.5. And actually, you'll see I'm on the bid right now for that same reason. But 83.5, this was that turnaround point. Lower high in yesterday's action when it failed right at the open. That was that big turnaround. I talked about missing that trade yesterday on Rivian, right? So the fact that it came into that same range and there's no attempt here, even if it wouldn't have been a winner, it's part of that pattern where it gives you a chance at a pullback initially and then does give you some cluster there, at least to get a nice little tight out there. Now, eventually, it does make a top, so I'm happy and I'm okay with the fact that I tried it up here at that 85 range a couple of times, and I'm now sitting in a short in that particular position. But a couple of things you got to learn from. One, if you're trading a scalp range where it's in, it is out, it is taking consolidations, you want to stick to your established levels. Only one time, like it's my worst stock today, only once do you have to break that rule and get in a bad price, and that was at that 80 multiple times because it's a round number. It's easy to do. You get wrapped up in the heat of the moment. Opening range is always going to be exciting for you. You see 80 even, you might even see some size on the level 2, but that's not the strategy. It is playing off of key levels. It is making sure you're working in and out of it and then taking your lumps when it breaks through those prices. You make a mistake once and it can blow your entire day out. Of course, the other way to look at this is you can always be just as bullish through each one of those levels and then using the previous as support. That's another thing we could have done here today. But sometimes you have a read and you have a strategy going in, and the best course of action is to make sure that you follow your plan and stick to your rules. Because if you came in thinking short on Rivian, it's not always easy to want a dime to start thinking about the long. But you can limit your losses, and there are ways you could have come out of this still positive. Of course, one is catching the top here. So you can always learn from your mistakes. We can always learn from reassessing our plans. And of course, going back and looking at each individual decision point and ensuring that it was a good one.
And this is why we all have a plan as we head towards the open. Join us every morning in the pre-market, guys, at 8:30 as we go over what is moving around in the pre-market. Rivian was one of those. We came up with a plan on how to approach that as we head to 9:30. There we go. That's Rivian. I was just watching this Hellbiz, HLBZ, up on some news here. 20%, huge volume coming in, guys, too. HLBZ. So they're teaming up with Oracle Cloud to support Hellbiz Ghost Kitchen Global Growth. So that was out right at 2 o'clock as we came in. This thing was doing absolutely nothing before that. So 550 was the top end there. So big volume still. I mean, it's only about 700,000 or so, but a lot of volume coming into Hellbiz. Currently, we'll talk about Hellbiz coming up here as well. But maybe we should actually, guys, thoughts on this? I mean, a few people discussing this right now. 20% for Hellbiz at 6:30 here.
Yeah, I mean, I was just looking at 20. I mean, it looks like we were here before. What's up, everybody? Thanks for joining us back here again. Thank you to Trader Pratt for crushing it again on his loan. So I'm getting nervous, man. That guy's going to take our job soon. 6.4. So we were already up here back on the 5th or the 6th. Or this was, it looks like it was 8:30 on the 6th. So we were already up here and fell back into this level one more time. It seems like they've created a nice little sort of support area between $5 and $6 here on Hellbiz. And yeah, a nice little move upside. Remember where that high was, though? I mean, it's right here, right where we're at right now, 625. So I think this is probably a decent spot to maybe look to get short on HLBZ right now. But again, you know, this news just dropping, so I actually don't know that much about this company and, you know, what this would mean. But Hellbiz right now seems like it's been up here before. I would say this might be a fade, but again, a relatively new name if I'm not mistaken here, and near these lows. So, you know, just like BarkBox, we're getting a nice little move to the upside here today again on news. It looks like this name's going to get that same move on news as well. I mean, it looks like a better one. BarkBox is better, but up 17% now for Hellbiz. So again, without knowing a whole heck of a lot about what this means for them, I do like the move up here, and I think you can just play off some of those past levels. And I'm just running around saying nothing, but you have 650 here as a past high, so that might be a level of concern.
Yeah, I mean, because $6 is the hold price, so all you got is what you just said, the 650 price there. I just double checked, we don't have free shorts on it, and it hasn't crossed 1 million shares in volume just yet, so it's still finding its way around here as it starts to get going. And the spread on a $6 stock, 10 pennies, 7 pennies here, I look at it now. So yeah, I mean, it tread a little bit lightly on that. There's plenty moving here in the market. That PIK seems a little bit more liquidity and more interesting.
PIK, an interesting as one. Kid picks. Really interesting business model. First of all, let's talk about Rivian a little bit more here, because it was one of the main focuses in the pre-market, guys. As we went through 8:30 to 9:30, these numbers came out this morning for Rivian. 1,015 vehicles made by the end of 2021. If you remember in December, I think it was the beginning of December, they revised, tough to see that, but I know, apologies. They revised that number down to 1,200, so it was even worse than the revised down prior target of 1,200.
Yeah, so the thing is, obviously, we're trading Lucid here. We just took a nice little 25-cent win there. I'm going to hold the rest of this one. But the problem with Lucid today, and my shorting of this had absolutely nothing to do with that story, to be honest with you, Brendan. It was just like we were coming up to some levels of $82 that I just didn't think we were going to hold those levels. And then all of a sudden, on a 20-minute chart, it looks ridiculous. We were short. I'll show you my 1 minute. There's a bunch of shorts in here before eventually getting stopped out upside here at 86 and change. The high of the day does go to 86.60 or so, I believe, on that 86.58. So there was a level here, and the next level up is going to be 90. So I think next time we just got to give it a little bit more room, because as you can see here, basically just a clown show all the way up. We're able to make money. Like, it started off fine, made money. And then really this was the big stop at 83. That's, we said it right on our sticky note. Like, we talked about sticking with our own sort of rules there. We said short up to 82.50. So when we should have got out of the way there when we noticed that, right? And that was the problem. And then starting in here, it started to become more of an issue, shorting some of these tops. And then eventually, the thing is, it looks like, okay, you know what, you're not in that much trouble. But the problem is, it's 84, then this is 85.50, then this is 86. And when you have too many shares, I stick with my plan where I don't want to get shut down or anything. If this thing does go to that 90 level, I had no problem seeing that happen. You're still up 4%. All it has to do is go another couple percentage points. You're seeing a lot of these names today going nuts, right? A lot of the names that were beat down yesterday just taking off 7, 8, 9, 10%. Rivian to be up only 4 is actually a saving grace. They could have been up a lot more and would have destroyed. I would have got out. But the point is that if it kept on going, I may have kept on shorting, which would have been a disaster as well. So for me, we're into those levels. And now that I zoom this back out, look at a 20-minute, I'm still going to make the same calls tomorrow. I still like the short, but I think it has to start in and around 85, which is where we're at now. It's just, I'd rather trade Lucid, a stock that I'm positive on today and doing quite well on. So we'll stay with Lucid, but Rivian here, just making some new levels. We touched that 78, man. 78 was the insider IPO price, right? And there's going to be a lockup coming on Rivian, so on and so forth. So I still think that 78 price is something that comes into play at some point. But right now, we'll hold that as the bottom, and we'll have to respect that. But wow, what a great move up for Rivian today. Unexpected from me.
Yeah, a couple of things about it, too. Like, I think that, look, we both liked it for the short side. And one of the reasons was you had that low yesterday, and the relative volume on it just wasn't, like, there were multiple days where you've had twice as much volume on Rivian, as you can see, than you had in yesterday's bottom. I think that's one of the reasons I thought it could continue potentially to the downside. The other one was, if you look at that double bottom from yesterday, a lot of times when you get a snap back, it'll trap shorts with a bottom break at the open and then run. Like, it didn't really do that. Like, it did the whole, okay, holds low and sort of grinds into the top, and then you think some of these levels might get respected. I feel like if it had been a fake break at that low, at that double bottom from yesterday, it might have been easier to get away from it. But, like Sean said, like Lucid had some cleaner trades today. There's no question about it. So maybe that's going to hold true going into tomorrow. I'm probably going to be okay going back to the well at that $89 level, just because you look at how significant the drop off was through that price. And in this bottom range, that is the clear top. So I think that remains in play potentially for tomorrow, and we'll see what happens. It's been whipsaw action, but a lot of these names, and whether we talk about these names that are 5 to 10% that have been beaten up recently, there's a ton of them, and most of them are right in the bottom pocket. Like, if you go to your 15-minute chart or you pull up your daily chart, and Rivian's not as clean, but they're right in the bottom pocket here. They haven't necessarily broken out of that bottom end of their ranges. So as impressive as some of these moves are, when you put it into context, some of them have yet to even break out in the traditional sense.
A couple of names here that are getting all kinds of attention on social media today. This kid pick. Kid Pick Corporation, which is a clothing box subscription service. So you get a box of clothes, I guess a year or whatever later you get another one. Tiny float on this, first of all. I don't even have a reading on free float, but the total outstanding is 7.6 million shares. This is a $36 million market cap, so heads up on PIK. Could be a crazy one this afternoon. Also wanted to mention DWAC here, moving around once again this afternoon as well. Look at the volume here compared to yesterday. I mean, yesterday was a pretty good move for this thing, back to 60 before it sold off. We're all the way up to 64, up nearly 15% for DWAC.
So I think you got to sort of pull back to yesterday's chart. And I was in this in the end of the day, and we talked about holding it, and it just, the pop didn't really happen. It actually came the other way yesterday in the afternoon. So I want people to be aware of that a little bit, that we were trading 55, 56 all day. And then right about this time, I mean, it's about 3 o'clock, we made new highs up to 60 and then faded all the way back down. So this was not a great trade yesterday for me here on DWAC. Actually, it was fine. We may have made money, but I definitely know that we tried the 60 break and then reloaded it. But anyways, what I want to say was this base down here between 55 and 60 that we sort of saw yesterday, I mean, just right in here, like how good was, I mean, that's maybe not right there, but how good was this base between 55 and 60 yesterday? And then you sort of go over today and you could see the extension of this right into here. Well, this is right where we opened, so I can draw the same sort of bubble right here again. You know, this is 57, 58, 58, 50. So when you look at this chart, and let's just go like this, you're going to see we had some consolidation here yesterday and then some consolidation again in the morning. I don't know if you take these breaks because 60 is staring you in the face, but if you draw a line here, you know, how good has 60 been? I mean, there it is right here. So that's yesterday's top. Here's the break of 60 again. Never, ever goes against you. And you're able to hold this basically till now. It comes back in, retest 60 and a quarter right there. And now we're jumping up to right here, 64.50, basically the high of the day on DWAC. So now you go from forming this area to forming a new area right now. And I'm just wondering, can we sort of ellipse this area maybe now as our new bottom between 60 and 61.5. So you go, you're sort of here, and then you're extending it into today to sort of justifying the bottom, and then bang, bang to the upside right now, and we'll see if we take out 65. I'm going to have a memory and try to remember what happened yesterday and not take out the top here at 65 again, but DWAC already up 14%, up huge yesterday, and let's just see if this continues to go. But congratulations anybody that's believed in this. I think you can also look at Funware as well.
Yeah, look, always try to make sure you're understanding that all of these move together. Well, I always forget the third one, but yeah.
CFVI.
It's a CFVI. Rumble and Funware. Sometimes there's an opportunity when one's already starting to go on a key level break and go there. But I just talked about with Rivian, like making sure that you stick to the bigger levels. And this is me like shorting it in air on DWAC, and you see it break 62, and again, it's just not a very, very tight stop because don't have as great of a level, but then you come back up to 60, like 65 up here, where you did have a wick top, and look, I was able to get a win, and yeah, I stopped out on the second half of the trade, but it's a tight stop, so overall, shorting 65 works, even if you don't catch the pullback that it has in, and of course, as we speak, you know, that 65 probably going to get tested in this final, couple of hours of the session here. So DWAC with a chance to now possibly break back out at that 65 level, which on the daily, this is kind of what it looks like. This has been resistance 65, 66, since the beginning of December. That would be pretty spicy if we chew through that level. So I don't know that I'd get too stubborn. I'd be looking at like $70 once you make a break of 65, 66, Brendo.
Yeah, that's going to be the big breakout, I think, for DWAC as well. AMD, guys, back to 137 here, holding as support for the moment for AMD anyways. Up the most, it would appear, as far as some of these chip makers are concerned today. I mean, AMD gets an upgrade. Intel, I should say, taking a CFO from Micron. So there's all kinds of positive headlines for the chip makers coming into the morning after, we saw these impressive moves back to the upside yesterday afternoon in all the chip makers, guys.
Yeah, I mean, I'll let you talk AMD, Sean, because I missed an AMD long, but I more missed an Intel short. And it's not that excusable, because when we were talking about this in the morning, sort of saying to myself, the NASDAQ if we make any kind of a rally, you get that rotation. Then Intel, look, poaching is, essentially poaching or getting an executive from a rival can be a good story. They also were number 2 on some ESG list, which can be good catalysts. I don't think they're the greatest ones in the world, but it was all post-market action, which is pretty abnormal for Intel to make that kind of a move post-market. And then you come right back in, and you go right to this 56.20 level from just last week. I mean, we just established this and had a pullback right into 53 into support, and then you gap down. Well, I mean, it's not really a gap down because this is post-market action, but you gap down from the post-market action into that same high in the pre-market, and then you have the opportunity to short off of this level. Like, give me a break. This, if you look at this wick, and I'll zoom in here so you can see, this is at the open where it tries to push up, and this is stalling at 56 when 56.20 is your high. That is for sure a shortable opportunity. I would do that on small caps on almost a daily basis. I try that on things like Affirm or whatnot. And maybe it's just because I like it. I don't know. I can't even say it's because I like Intel. I just didn't have it up at that moment, and there's no excuse for it. So I thought that maybe that was going to be a sell the news type of event when it gapped down. It gave you the level to trade it off of. It gave you the push up at the open to short into it, and I never got it. And you see it fall like $1, which is a great return on Intel as a day trade. So we talk about establishing a plan and following it. Okay, was some of that being heavily involved in Rivian? No, probably like 90% of the reason I missed that trade is being heavily involved in Rivian. But there was one in Intel. And then, of course, the longs and AMD were, gangbusters as well. There were so many opportunities today.
The longs on AMD are always gangbusters. You just got to stay away from the bottoms. I mean, it's just, again, you got to find a name that you like, find a level, and it was hard to find one on AMD, to be honest with you, because yesterday we touched 125. We talked about that. And now today you're at 137. So you're basically straight up $12 here off of a beautiful move. And I would just say this, that 132 right into here, I believe we probably found that level. And that should have been the one that was taken long here off the open. So you go back a few days to 132, right into here. Great trade back up to the upside. But we had that question before about, like, do you put your life, some guy had his life savings, you remember that, into AMD, but this is what can happen. You do get a flush down there yesterday to 125. So, and then where do you get out? No matter where you got out, you're going to feel silly because today you're back up to 137. So I believe that in this environment right now, honestly, it's SMH, yeah, it's Qs, okay. SMH is probably the best thing to buy, so that way you're not really involved. Like, SMH today is up more than Intel, right? It's not going to be like that every day, obviously, as SMH is well weighted with a lot of names. Marvell, we've talked about Micron, TSM, NVIDIA, Intel, all of that. Intel coming with the best PE, and you guys can do your own research, but I like the SMH, therefore you're not in like that single name risk like you sort of are there with AMD. Like, you're not going to get cracked out of this here at 296. Like, the moves are still nice and violent, but at the same time, they're respectable in a way where you can invest maybe a little more capital if you're trying to be conservative right now. So I think, and you heard me talk about selling out some of my TDOC. Well, maybe you didn't. I tweeted it out. And again, someone was like, thank you for the transparency. Hey, man, absolutely no problem. We've been getting killed in TDOC. It was $77 yesterday. So if I can get out today something at 87 and lick my wounds and then sort of just get ready to reload on something else here once the market does crack a little bit lower, Teladoc has been an absolute crazy mover down here to the downside. Maybe this is going to be a mistake, but we sell out of about 30% of our position, raise some cash here in case this thing, it can fall lower, trust me. As you can see, look where we were before the pandemic, 50, 60 bucks. Does it go? Maybe, but I just thinking that if I'm going to invest like this with Aunt Kathy, I just do it with ARC. So I'm going to get out of TDOC, but I know we're getting a little bit away, but that just goes to the chip strength. I think you got to sort of stay in the chip names because of the metaverse and because of what it means moving forward. But some of these other high flyers, I'm out of.
Yeah, pretty impressive right across the board for that group today. I was just double checking the crude oil. We're going to talk about energy here, but G contract versus H contract, still the G contract doing way more volume. Here's crude oil on a, intraday over here, daily over here. back above $80, which was that last little pivot there that we got to last week. But another day, another huge move up here for crude, guys, to 81 now, in fact, for crude oil, 3.6%. You got to go back to January of 2020 to see the last time XOM was trading where it is today.
Yeah, there's some strong names out there. XOM moving, Oxy moving. I'm only going to pull up Oxy because if you look at the last time it had a bit of a pullback off of a high where there was a long consolidation, it would have been around 32.5, and you'll sort of see it teeter back and forth, break it a few times, and then fall back pretty heavily. And if you track crude prices and then sort of see what happens here, you almost have to be willing to weather sort of that storm. But it's getting very close to this 36 level at the top where it could do the same thing. Previous high 35.80, and you just saw, as Brendan was showing you on oil futures, that you are getting into an area where you could find some resistance. So Oxy, look, I haven't retraded in a while, but the last time it got to a level like this, we sort of talked about it, and we did put on a day trade in the morning that day, and I'll be looking for it at about 36 even. I kick myself for sitting out on some of those longs, but the truth of the matter is, I used to say, oh, we have to be trading this, we have to be trading that, but on a daily basis, there's half a dozen to a dozen names that are worth looking at, and that's when you're blending some of the big caps and then these small caps that run in. And I get it, some of them, like I wasn't looking at PIK this morning, and if I trade it today, it'll seem like I trade a lot of symbols, but I wasn't doing that at the same time as maybe trading, when I was trading Pets heavily off the morning, and I traded Bros only at lunchtime, and I'm not going back to that well. So yes, we are dividing it up, but you do have to try to focus somewhere. And I think that's most of the reason why energy might not get traded as much, because not only do you have to find your levels, find your entries and exits, but it's one more thing to monitor. Like, we're not just suddenly monitoring ES, NASDAQ, and the VIX. I'm also having to look at crude oil spot prices at the same time while managing your trades. And if that's not your thing, then fine. But the day that Oxy maybe gets to that 36 level, maybe that's tomorrow, I don't know, and then all of a sudden it could be worth it, throwing an extra chart up and then, structuring a trade off of that level. But, you do have to find your lane. Clearly, energy's on a great run. I still believe, in the long term, I still believe energy works for you this year, even off some of these highs, although, taking some profit feels like it's going to make some sense. On pops on just about everything. Like, I can't think of anything. I was looking at Pepsi today. I was like, why didn't I take any profit on Pepsi, which I've essentially just been holding as it's made a good run the last 6 months. It makes sense in a raising rate environment. There's even the names that you think are going to work well, you're going to want to be taking some profit off of the table to be able to redeploy when I think the next move to the downside does come. But when it comes to energy, stay in your lane. Try to make sure that you're not overextending yourself. And if you're not used to looking at oil futures, then maybe trading some of these names can be a bit dicey for you.
I think that's a dead on. And, I think that it's not just about staying in your lane. It's really, if you're going to be an oil trader, and it makes me think about Arun a little bit, it's like you got to focus on what you're doing. And it's very, very hard to say, I'm going to trade oil or I'm going to trade some of these. We just have to look at them basically as if they were stocks, right? And when you look at an XOM, what a monster this name has been. We talk about it quite often on the show, but you're right, we don't trade it as much as maybe we should. But if you just trade this thing like a stock, there's not, whoa, I'm still on the ellipses. It still doesn't get much better than this. There's really no excuse today for missing this move. Like XOM, just wow, straight fire to the upside, and it's an easy trade too. Like, never really goes against you. Look at it, it doesn't even ride the VWAP. It's like, no way. I think, to me, this would look like a short, how extended we are from this thing right now. But wow, XOM, you heard me talk about putting some shorts on here into oil in the summertime, but right now, no. Like, the way that this came back up, we were thinking about it and we talked about it up there, but we didn't put anything on, and good thing we did it, as oil right now just way too extended. For me, this is a forever short right here when I see something like this, and I think Neil's spot on. This is a profit-taking situation right now. If you're in this, if you're in it heavily, I think you take some off. If you're in it as kind of a hedge and you just, you're impressed with the move, then I think you could stay in. But look at XLE here as well, just way off to the upside now. There will be some corrections back down. Trust me, like, this shouldn't move here from $53 January 3rd, which was, I guess, a week today, last week into this area, up to 63. That's like a 20% move. That's $10 almost on 50, right? So 20% move in just over a week and a bit. Too much for some of these names. So for me, it's a hard pass out of buy from here. But as a hedge, I can't blame anybody for holding on to this name if you do think there's more room to run.
Yeah, I was just looking at some of the other energy names as well. I mean, even the little ones, we saw like Devon and all the other smaller ones up, 5-6% today as well. Some of the travel names back on the board, as we saw at the start of the show when we came back on at 2 o'clock. Travel names, big days right across the board for some of the casinos specifically, along with cruise operators, CCL, RCL, NCLH, all up 3, 4, 5%. Here's LVS though. I wanted to talk about LVS here, 7.5%. Back to some key levels though, guys, over here on the daily chart.
Yeah, I mean, key levels to say the least. Like, I have the 15 up for it so you can see the last time we got up here. And again, just last week when it broke 39 and failed, couldn't even get close to 40, getting to 39.70 or so. But the issue with trying to find, and there were a million things that, look, have breakouts and huge runs. So if you missed out on a 5 to 10% move to the upside today, there were plenty of things that you could have played into. You could never have caught them all. But Las Vegas Sands specifically, because we talked about this in the morning, it just went right through a lot of chop. And I think sometimes that makes it difficult to structure a trade. Like, if you take a long breakout at 37.60, I mean, I'm looking at this 38 to 38.5. I'm probably it's hard not to take some profit out. Now, it is pretty clean and it moves rapidly, so you had momentum on your side to be sure. Now the story becomes, okay, well, this has put in obviously a double bottom here. It's broken your 50 period, but it's still not quite broken out of that channel. This is that top I was sort of talking about here. Once you get through that, maybe you got a little bit more runway to start to get going here. And obviously these are, sometimes you want to pull back a little bit further just to put things in a little bit of perspective. It's not to bag on the casino names. We understand the risk that's going to be there for them, but there's a ton of runway till you get back to where these things were on the upswing, sort of bouncing back from the worst of COVID. I mean, you could get 15% and you're not even scratching the surface of getting back into the range where they were in the midst of the recovery. So I think everyone's looking to hit those home runs. And when we say sometimes you don't have to get in early, you can always take it when it's breaking back out. I'm not sure you could classify this breaking out until it gets past that 40 level. It's a great run today, but I mean, you can pull up 7% winners pretty much anywhere you want to find it today in any sector you like. So great day for Las Vegas Sands. I'm not going to complain about it all. One thing, just to quickly not to jump back and forth, but I know that PIK is starting to move here. And it just bounced into VWAP. I was looking to short it if it came back to that 7 level, that $7 level. That might be getting away from us here, but just watch out as it's now sort of broken support and heading below VWAP. I know there's a lot of people tracking the same. Still up 35%, but starting to fade.
Good pick on that one. Okay, so I mean, the thing about it is I like Wynn better than the rest. And again, it's enterprise value. We talked about that. Still, though, these companies aren't making any money, really, some of these casinos. But at the same time, it's just about future, and it's about where we think they're going. Wynn's already been up to 140. I really think on a reopen, I want to be in a casino name. I'm going to choose Wynn. I think it's close to best of breed. There's MGMs rocking right now, but some of those are just a little too high, too pricey right now, not from a PE standpoint, but just like if you see MGM, like I'm trying to make a play on something that's been depressed, right? If you check out MGM's chart, you're not going to see a 140 top. Oh, come on, that's still Wynn. Let's go. Hopefully this will load up. It was actually been pretty good here today. You see MGM's already off the bottom, and that's sort of what I was trying to get at, is that some of these names have already been beat down and come back up to the top side. So, MGM's a performer. You can look at CZR, Caesars as well. I'm going to choose Wynn. But the one thing I want, before I went over to this stock, I want to tell you guys quickly is that Neil and I were talking about this, although some of the moves are very, very impressive today, up 4%. I just talked about Teladoc, some of these other names, but look where we are. We are still in this range of just utter choppiness where you have this bottom of 76. Great to pick up bottoms, but you're not even we're not even close yet for me to be really that interested in anything that Wynn's doing. We got to still break the 50-period moving average. All we've done is just sort of gone up from a previous bottom. So we'll see, can these names really withstand pressure that could be coming from the NASDAQ, and can they withhold this recent move up? Like, wouldn't it be surprising to me to see Wynn back down that 2 or 3% tomorrow, to see a Las Vegas Sands back down that 2 or 3, 4, 5% tomorrow, because we're up so much more today, right? So a lot of these names still depressed, and only back to levels that we've already been at before. So let's see what happens here. Like, look at LVS. This is what I mean, like all the way back to the downside. It still has many levels to break back up, but we're just now trying to break out. So although I'm a fan of the casinos, I don't think they're ready to be pounced on just quite yet.
Impressive day, though, for some of the travel names, as we said, right across the board, including those. We had some of the retail names on the watch list this morning. If you joined us in the pre-market, guys, there was a number of upgrades, number of positive notes on the retail group. None of them have really, had huge monster days or a lot of follow through from where they were in the pre-market. So worth a note. Keep them in mind as we head through the remainder of the week and on to some of next week as we get into more earnings. Let's talk about Nikola, though, because wow, what another day back to the upside after a bit of a puke yesterday. But another 50 trucks being ordered for Nikola. So I mean, we're back to the top end of the range here, but it was up and then down, and now we're back to almost 11 again.
Yeah, look, Nikola's been doing this thing, and it did it when Sean was talking about it at 9, and now it's doing it at about 9.75 or just below that $10 mark, where it's got this nice little scalping support. If you're a day trader, you just sort of pick it off at the bottom. Even yesterday, when you had that big flush to the downside, it respected that 9.75 level and got back up. But yet another name where it is up 9% today. I mean, you're not even close to breaking out of the bottom. Maybe this tight range it's had the last couple of weeks, but if you look at the real bottom here on Nikola, like you're not really sniffing out of this bottom range just yet. And, certainly there's probably names that look a little bit stronger. The thing worth pointing out with Nikola is it is forming one heck of a wedge down off this $9. Like if you look, like nine has been support since April of last year. And the last pop off that level was doubling up to almost $20. So you're getting one heck of a wedge down. The tighter it gets, I mean, this kind of goes without saying when you look at this chart. But as we get into like a rate hiking environment, who knows what's, I mean, March is coming obviously a lot faster than I think we all realize. Can't wait for March Madness. But when that happens, if we're still basing out on the bottom of this channel and you're taking out a level like that when rate hikes come, or if this ends up being a short rally in the markets, Nikola is one of these, like breaking $9. I don't see any way that I wouldn't be looking at that short when it does come. It can play both ways. It can hold support, and maybe it does get that breakout and gives you a nice little runner there. But that's the kind of thing that's really setting you up. It just feels like it's the strongest level. Eventually, when something like that breaks, it can get ugly. We've seen stocks make fresh lows all the time.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm right now I'm just getting back into Lucid right here, just to talk about it because it's a position that I've just been sort of in and trying to work a little bit here. So we're short at 45. We did take a piece. So it's just this trade. So we've already talked about getting stopped out there at the high, but we just took another piece at 44.40 or so, got it out at 16. So that was a good trade. Then took a short at 50. So that's why you have an average price right now of 45.6. So we're short at roughly 46 cents here on Lucid. Want to go one more time, but I don't want to hold this past 44.80. I don't want to dance up here at 45 again. If this breaks above 80, we'll take that hit well within the realm of acceptable hits for me today, considering what we did on Rivian. So Lucid, just to give you an idea of what we're talking about right there, I'm going to take this as an out on Lucid if we break above 50, above 80, but I do want to have one more average in around the 60 mark. But that's what my plan is there on Lucid. And I see some people talking. I mean, again, guys, we can't hit everything. Someone said like, oh, we're oblivious to Vine. It looks like I am because I can't find the right extension. But right now, Vine going ham right now to the upside, 70%. I don't know if we've mentioned this. This is fresh Vine wine right now, and it's just topping out at $8. So if you have shortable shares, maybe Vine is a name to look at here. We'll have to see what it's looking like on the Amex, just to give you a quick little rundown here. I don't know if this is going to load ever, but $9, $8 here at the top side. I guess this is a relatively new name, right? Came out at 7, dropped all the way to 4, now getting a bump today that it looks like shareholders have been waiting for. So let's watch out for Vine at this $8 mark.
I was wondering if that was, no, it was an IPO. Yeah, teeny tiny. So IPO'd going back to the end of December here. 3 million shares, guys, on the free float. There's 12 million outstanding. I don't see any significant headlines on Vine. I wanted to mention Uber here as well real quick before we continue. I was kind of keeping an eye on Uber because of this. There was a 2.9 million share block print that went off just before we came back on here. So we're just starting to tick back up higher. So just keep that in your back pocket, 2.5% for Uber coming off of a block print. Let's talk about one of the most common questions we get around here, and that is scalping. You hear that word scalping on the show day in and day out. Everybody wants to know, what are the keys here to scalping? We're going to focus today on some of the key and important levels that we have to find in order to place those really quick trades, guys, where we can both control our risk, but also maximize the upside or profit.
Yeah, I'm glad you sort of said it there, like quick in and out, because that's what scalping is, and controlling risk. How do you find those key levels? I think you keep it as simple as possible. First, find something that's going to move. I'm going to show you a chart of pets yesterday because that was crazy. 360 all the way down into the penny stock range, but I want to highlight what it did when it settled down at the bottom here. So this is yesterday's action in pets. In the afternoon, it tried to hold 76 cents here. And then you had the top end of that range was about 80 to 81. When it finally broke that range, and then just in the aftermarket, it then put in the same aftermarket range from that 76 to 81. So you fast forward to this morning, and I'm saying to myself, I just want to play out those levels. It's 5 cents notional in scalping. Of course, it's a decent percentage because it's a penny stock, but I'm then looking for long once it breaks that 81, and then scalping out in the first 5 cents, anticipating, well, 5 cent range below, 5 cent range above. Then do the same thing again off of that range. When it starts to break below it, I take one last try at it. It can't go more than halfway, and that's when I exit when it breaks. And obviously, it would have worked one last time, but because it was putting in a smaller amount to the range here, I decided I didn't want to try to hang on to it. Let's see what happens after the open. And what it does do is just jumps right back into another range-bound trade. You come right back to that 76, 77. When it breaks, I'm then shorting it and then identifying, okay, 3 to 5 cents, because that's the range it wants to put in. Make sure you're taking profit 1, 2, 3 cents every single chance you get. What can happen when you're trading in a tight range is, hey, you might break out at that top, which is your level, that's a 77, you get out, and I never get back into it, and then it does a flush. But if you're scalping in and out, it's not always about capturing the massive goes from 70 to 54 cents or 50 cents. It's not always about capturing those. It's about the multiple executions, identifying where you can get in, knowing where your out is going to be when it eventually breaks, and then just trying to get as many trades as you can off while it's in that range. So you're taking advantage of the range. You can't worry always about the gigantic moves when you're doing those trades and scalping it. It's about taking advantage of, to me, sometimes a previously established range, which makes it very simple to structure.
Yep, and I think great talk here, and I think nailing it on the head, Brendan, to begin with, was talking about make sure you understand the price levels that you're working off of, and if you do that, then it's pretty easy. I like to use the evens, just the quarter levels, so the evens, the 25 cent, the 50 cent, 75, and then back up to even levels, right? And so I have a perfect example of me doing exactly that here on Palantir. I mean, Palantir comes down, we were waiting for 1625, it doesn't hit, or 16 flat, and all of a sudden, as it breaks back through here above 1650, look where some of these bids are: 1659, 1656. So we're buying these bids ahead of 1650. Why? Because we're just trying to scalp these out. And remember, this is giving me an average price here of 57. Look where some of these outs are: 64. Right? That's 7 cents. So right away, taking some outs that would bring us back here to give us a risk to reward ratio of greater than 1 to 1. But when you're scalping, those are basically the ratios you're trying to look for. Can I get, if my downside here is a 50 break, and that's going to be 7 or 8 cents worth of risk, well then, I'm going to get out the majority as it pops up. I mean, most of these are 70s, 75s, 76s. So we're taking out 20 cents when we're only risking, 6 or 7 on the downside. Then when it blows up to the upside, you feel kind of bad because you don't have much on. But I'm trying to hold that 10 or so percent. Then when it drops, this is, again, another benefit of scalping. When it drops right back down, I still don't have the position on. I'm out of this position because I've scalped it out. Now I can take the bid again at the same level and, again, make that same 20, 30, 40 cents. But when you do it twice, all of this profit is double. And then this time I learned my lesson because, hey, scalping can turn into a little bit of a hold because as it pops back into some levels that we've already seen before, we still have on 10, 20, 30% on board to hold out for a little bit higher. So Brendan, not only is scalping a 1-to-1 ratio, but if you do it enough and you do it on a stock that you're familiar with, sometimes you get those bigger winners.
After that, I have nothing to add, guys. That was perfectly said. Very well done. Great points, as always, on scalping. I mean, key levels, the key to scalping. We'll leave it at that. Let's have a little bit of a look here at some things that are moving around, guys. We had that PIK that was a big mover coming off of Trader Prad's show in the midday. Still a bit of volume coming back into that. Again, still keeping my eye on this Uber as well. There's a bit of a buyer here at 43.60, exactly where that giant block print went off just before we came on at 2 o'clock.
Look, I'm actually a little bit
scrolling down. I mean,
yeah, like I see the block print come through. I'm a bit disappointed in Uber today. Look, it's up 2.5%, and with the market continuing to break out, like some of the bigger caps are really starting to go here, and you're still churning on Uber. Like I said, like some names aren't really breaking out. Like this has to get above. It's more like 47, 46 to 48, like this range up here. It's a great bottom. And it's a nice move off the lows. You can't complain about 20% off this 36, which it was at in December, but when in doubt, zoom out. If my daily chart wants to cooperate here, you are now still $20 from the highs that got made at the beginning of last year, which is a horrible run for the stock. You're still pretty much like when this broke out towards the end of the year and was breaking out. This was at that 46 to 48 level that it was breaking out. So Uber, I still like it for a reopen style name. Look, you talk about names that are priced to sales and not earnings. And Uber certainly falls sort of into that category, but they're only 3 times revenue. They're way better. If you're talking about in the space, they're a way better valuation than DoorDash. That's for sure. Like relatively speaking, it's not compared. Like it's definitely cheaper than DoorDash. And you consider. They're exposed to ride sharing basically all over the world. The Eats works pretty well, so I still like them for that. But the fact that they can't get bigger runs when the market's doing what it's doing here today, and I see all the recovery that's happening, it's a bit of a disappointment for me on Uber. And you see, like it's so strong. Like you look at some of the big cap man today. Like I'm watching Amazon, right? Like on a day where the beaten up names are doing like 5 to 10%, you're gonna tell me Uber is up the same that Amazon is up, and Amazon barely ever moves around. So that leads me, I'm harping on a stock that's doing decently today, but those are the reasons why, right? Like I would expect Uber to have done a little bit better in specifically today's environment.
I mean, it should be a reopen play, but I think you're getting that a little bit. I mean, it's been nicely done. In a month, you're up from 35 to 45, basically $44. So, I mean, it's very, very hard to complain about, buying anything off these earnings. It's been a nice move, but I don't think the world is ready yet. There's not too many reopen plays that are back near these levels. So I'd be pretty happy with Uber. You're above the 50-period moving average. And remember, I was actually heard Kramer mention this yesterday, and there is, or a couple days ago maybe, there is still coming, and maybe we could talk to Justin about this as well, because I know he's into ride sharing, but Uber Freight could be another key thing for Uber, and that is, of course, I don't know if you guys have seen like a show like Shipping Wars or something. There goes, oh, by the way, there goes Lucid breaking out from the top here. So, yeah, big movement to the upside there on Lucid, taking out that 42. Let's see where we go now for this name. But I was just thinking there, Uber Freight was something that had another possibility. That's not even released yet, but that has a possibility of doing some damage, I think, Uber Freight. So watch out there. I still think there are more catalysts to come for Uber. I like it down here. I would love it to get back down into 35, and I think you have a chance to do that next earnings call. So let's see what they say. But again, properly managed now. We do have some headwinds with some of the regulations. I don't know, London. I don't know if they've sort of come up with some of that, but there's been some pullbacks as far as unionization and things like that. But Uber, good trade, and I think it's fun. I like it for a reopen.
Wow, DWAC. I mean, you guys are. So by the way,
What is DWAC
a couple of
doing
things.
now?
DWAC, I have it in a different chart because I wanted to talk Rivian because you just mentioned Lucid. But DWAC has taken out the high again. It just touched 66. Yesterday, I think you saw me maybe jump in a little bit too quickly into DWAC, and I'm looking at the $70 level if it continues that breakout. But Rivian, which had been working like the last short here up in front of 86, 85.75, I did take an initial scalp, but I've been waiting for it to get to VWAP. But as Sean just mentioned, Lucid moving a bit. Another pop off of 84, 83.90 here, back in 84.5. So, and I'm holding for a little bit of a bigger move. That's because of how big the moves were today. But finding some strength here is the market. We're talking 4,700 within spitting distance on the ES, and the NASDAQ is like points away from the high it made earlier on today. So 1.33% on the NASDAQ. So you have to watch out. Even if your shorts are working on some of these levels, I mean, the market's breaking highs too. Might have to take profits. Brendan.
Yeah, let's bring in Justin Kozach back again this afternoon to discuss some interesting topics from the day. Lots of angles, lots of things to get through here this afternoon. I just noticed, Justin, we're going to talk about BarkBox here, but Bark day highs on volume up 30.5% on this news today. So obviously much needed change here.
Right, I mean, 30.5% is nothing to howl about, or maybe it is something to howl about. I don't know. Interesting news though. The CEO is stepping down to spend time with the family, and the previous CEO is back in the top jobs. It feels a little like Twitter. One guy comes in and then the other one comes out. So it's always like Biz Stone, Ev Williams, Jack Dorsey, and then they just kind of go through the roster. But listen, I mean, the company looks really healthy, getting some pretty decent, decent chunk of change there, and certainly seeing some year-over-year increases in revenue, and obviously, active subscriptions. I think a lot of businesses, particularly those that rely on shipping to get their products out to customers, which is almost every e-commerce business these days, they struggled a little bit with margins because of the pandemic and shipping congestion globally. But like I said, I mean, anybody who puts a product into a box and has to ship it out to a customer is going to struggle with that. So that's not particularly notable, but it is something worth mentioning. So interesting to see what's going to happen now. I like this company. I mean, being a dog owner, I'm sure my partner and I have bought 1 or 2 products from them. So good on them for doing well. And certainly the pandemic helped grow that business too.
I saw some of the notes you put here, Justin. 271,000 active subscriptions, 2.1 million total as of the end of Q2 of last year. So I didn't expect it to be that big and that successful. But pretty impressive numbers, as you said. So coming into earnings once again here in the next couple of weeks. So we'll see how that fans out over the next couple of weeks here. What is this Facebook story, and why are they missing some paychecks?
Right. So this Facebook story came out of nowhere. But not entirely surprising. Facebook's always kind of struggled a little bit with some of their contractors. What's happening here is Facebook moderators at an Accenture site in Austin are complaining that they have been left without their holiday paychecks. One employee said that they actually had to take out payday loans so they could afford to feed their children. Not a good look, certainly not from a company like Accenture. One moderator says that 50 people on his team hadn't even been paid yet, and said, when you only get paid $16 an hour in a town like Austin, missing a check is like missing a leg. So of course, Accenture is saying, well, we recently switched payroll providers and experienced some unanticipated challenges during our first payroll run with the new provider, which is a very long way of saying somebody screwed up. So Accenture is saying for their part that even though a work stoppage was threatened as of January 7th, which I guess was a few days ago now, they have not seen any evidence of work stoppage. So those folks who are not getting paid, I hope they can get this resolved soon. And at the risk of being a little humorous, definitely a big dislike on that one from Facebook. So.
The biggest of thumbs down. Yeah, this company can't seem to get out of the negative news headlines. Not a good story for both, I guess, Accenture and Facebook. But we'll see. Let's go to Spotify, because it was about this time last year we were sitting right here, in fact, talking about how Spotify was going to be the podcast king. They were, signing up all these big names, which they still have, obviously. And they've now shut down their own podcasting studio, which I guess makes sense because, people can essentially do these anywhere now that you have internet. But, it's a bit of a change in direction.
Right. This story is a little strange because, well, not strange, but the story seems to have quite a few layers to it. What's happened is that Studio 4 is essentially being shut down. A lot of people internally are saying that Studio 4 was kind of like the junk drawer for within the company, that it wasn't really referenced all that well. Nobody really thought of it. It was kind of like one of those internal projects where if nothing really fit into the Spotify model, they were just handed the project over to Studio 4 and they would kind of run with it. So it felt like the disliked redheaded stepchild of, within Spotify, which is kind of sad. And a lot of people who worked on the team felt that they were summarily dismissed, not from their jobs, although now certainly that seems to be the case, but they felt that they had been repeatedly insulted by, senior staff within the organization. So this is a really sad story. And the strange thing about this is I dug into a little bit of a shareholder letter that Spotify had issued back in July, and they said very nice things about the podcast platform and how much revenue it was bringing in and how they felt it was going to be central to the organization. And now they're saying something very different. So is Studio 4 part of that, or is that, as has traditionally, is it being kind of left out of the equation because people don't like to talk about it? So who knows? It's weird story. So hopefully they can kind of get to the bottom of it. And those who did lose their jobs, which seems to be about 10 or 15 people, hopefully they can find another role for them within the organization, or they can just start their own podcast.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I was going to say. And the bigger question, simply, do you need a Spotify to have a successful podcast these days?
Yeah, here's the thing: is like, yes and no. Yes, because Spotify has that massive reach. I mean, they probably have one or two viewers or listeners or users, whatever you want to call it. But I mean, you could self-publish these things on your own. You could have syndication on your own. It's a little bit harder for sure, and it's going to be a little bit more difficult to monetize. But I think in the end, you could do it. You could do it yourself. The hockey stick growth might take a little bit longer to get there, but not difficult, but not impossible.
I mean, I have to admit, I do. I have a Spotify account. I don't know, many people who don't, and do listen to numerous, not just one or two, but numerous podcasts on Spotify. So, I mean, it is working at this point.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I listen to quite a few podcasts on Spotify. I'm certainly going to be sad to see some of the ones that they have produced. There was a list here that I had. I don't know what happened to my tab here. It's gone somewhere, but here it is. Dissect, and Chapo Kingpin on Trial. So certainly some interesting content. And hopefully the podcasts that I do listen to aren't going to be affected by that. It doesn't seem like it is, but who knows, right? Guess we'll find out when we find out.
Yeah, never-ending story. All right, Guy at LAX would like to know what kind of dog you have, Justin.
What kind of dog? That's funny because for the holidays, I got my partner a Embark, and it's a dog DNA test. I know that sounds ridiculous, but you get a drop of saliva, not a drop, but you get saliva, very much like what's the other company that does that? 23andMe, I think, is one of them. So you basically get like a saliva thing, and you package it all up and you send it back. So the short story to that is we don't know. The long story is we're going to find out in a few weeks. So.
Perfect. My vet offered me one of those same very things at I think it was $300, which is insane. I don't need to know all of the different breeds that my dog is for that much money. Anyways, we're getting off topic. Justin Kozuch, Day Trade the World marketing guy. Appreciate it as always. Check him out on Twitter, guys. At TraderTV. Justin, see you tomorrow, my friend.
We'll see you tomorrow. Have a good night.
You too. There we go, guys. A few hot takes, I guess, for today.
Yeah, why not? Thank you, Justin. We'll find out. Certainly, you'll find out, and hopefully, we'll find out with you. Someone just asked me, like, you'll see the positions on the bottom. And there was actually a question today in the chat, and we always seem to forget that there are always new viewers. So when Sean and I show you our charts, because we are live trading the equities that we're talking about here, if you see a purple down arrow, that is a short entry into a position. If you see a green arrow, that's buying. It can be covering a short. It could be initiating a long position or adding to one. And then if you see a red down arrow, that means you're selling out of a long position. And each one of those are individual fills live in the market. So someone asked, why am I shorting pets? Very similar. When we were just talking about range trading and scalping, and it kind of, look, it's not at the levels that I was shorting this morning, which were probably a little bit better, around 75. But since it tried VWAP here, you can kind of see the lower high it's put in. 67 cents has been holding. It held VWAP here at 71. So, and then the bottom here at 65. It's basically just sitting in a 2 or 3 cent channel, going back and forth, and the trend has been down. So rather than longing it off the bottom, I'm choosing to short it at the top end of the range, which I've only gotten once since we came back on, and then just working it to the bottom end of the range. So, nothing too crazy there. It's a penny stock. It's done 100 million plus in volume, just taking advantage of the inside of the range. And yeah, I see the Honest Ape. I like that one. That's a good one. Pick. I'll get a chuckle out of it. You got a chuckle out of me with that name there. It's an interesting and a creative one. Pick making a break back above VWAP. Kind of thought it might capitulate here a second time, but instead it tries to test higher. I don't know that it's worth the short for me unless it gets into that 7 range, because I know where I'd be wrong, and I'd be wrong at 7 or the high of the day. Whereas down here, unless you have a ridiculously tight stop, I don't know if I love that. I think if you're long, you kind of know you can give it to either the 620 bottom and just put in 615 or so, or just go back to its initial pullback after like the breakout after the halt, which would be around $6. So, I think there's some levels, if you were already long, you could work off of. I'm not touching it to the short side until it bounces, unless it tests that 7 even. That Vine, we have no locates on this. I don't want to necessarily ignore it, but I hate it when we can't trade one direction. And when it halts 3 times to the upside, I'm generally looking for a place to go short. And I probably would have been all over this, but we don't have locates on it. We got a quote at 11 cents a share, and then when I tried to lock it in, it said it was unavailable. So even now, it's giving you a consolidation right at that last halt price at 730, like just back and forth right in the range. And maybe that would be worth it for a short, giving it to 750, but can't put the trade on. No locates, you can't go short, right? I mean, there's, day trade the world. If you can't get borrows, we're not going short. Those are the rules that need to be followed, and that's what we do here. So I'd love to be trading this. I don't like chasing longs on these when they're, it's already up like 63%. Maybe if you get a breakout to the top, you can scalp. Those are usually pretty decent, but for now, I might have to sit this one out.
Yeah, I'm just looking here at the high of the day now on Lucid. It just seems to want to go here. And yeah, oh man, I don't know. We tried. Here, hold on a second there. We tried another short. I mean, we've just been going back and forth. We had some winners, some losers here, but now we have on a position against the high of the day. The last time we're going to try this on Lucid, we're going to go short now against the high of the day and just see what happens. So the funny thing is, like sitting here watching, and it's. You would say I'm going to say oh, from my experience, we could sit here and see some of these stocks ramp up. But it's really interesting. You could really see when they want to get Lucid going. And I mean, I think it's just retail. Like they come in and it's they're trying. I don't know if it's gamma squeezing or what, or they're buying calls, and all of a sudden you can really start to see volume come just right into this name. And I should have tried to avoid some of this. It's been fine. It looks like a mess on here, but we've been really fine on Lucid today. It's just wow, when it starts to get ramped up, I'm going to keep Lucid and we talk about how it's hard to sort of watch multiple names here on the show as we go. But Lucid, man, you could see, see how it just gets going? It just starts taking out levels, one after another. And it will just sit there. Basically, here it goes. It's going to take out the high, obviously, today. But it's just sitting there, waiting to go. And all of a sudden, the volume picks up. And then it's just go. It's kind of like old AMC days, man, where it just takes out levels. Yeah, but Lucid, wow. This is going to, I mean, as soon as it takes this out, it's gone. But wow, what a busy day here for Lucid and for Rivian. They're putting in the work, man. Lucid up 8%. Rivian, I don't even want to show 4%. That chart, but okay, Rivian's not going right now. So see, you see what I mean? It's just sitting here dead, not doing anything. And then look at the volume that came in here off the open. It's boom, boom. And then the volume on the downside, you just sort of have to have some there we go. Now we're out of Lucid as it takes out the high. It's just, wow, these names are absolutely insane. I feel I want to dig into a short here, but I've been doing that and getting blown out. Lucid continues, man. Wow, what a great stock this has been for many of you today. Just keeps on working to the upside, Lucid.
Yeah, and this is what I'm a little surprised that each time you talk about Lucid breaking the top, I'm sitting here thinking, well, if Rivian's holding VWAP here, why is it not going? But the volume, it's like paint drying watching. Like, this is Rivian, the level 2. I mean, you just saw on Sean's side, like, what the time and sales look like on Lucid. Rivian, it's like there's no even lit market going. There's some deep prints every now and then. It's barcoding. I think that's probably going to work at least decently well for the short, but I'm still wanting to cover this now in front of 84. Forget about the extra 50 cents. I just want to maybe take the profit and run in particular on that name. And sort of coming back to some other movers that we were talking about earlier in the session, earlier when we came back on here, DWAC. So, today I'm like, okay, well, I'm okay sitting it out, waiting for 70. I'm not going to take a top break. I'm not going to short it too early. Well, of course, that means it pulls right back off a 66 break. There's still an upward trend since about 1 o'clock in the afternoon, just a little bit before that, actually. Still in a bit of an upward trend. It did take out that top. It's right now putting another higher low. And I'm not going to be over trading DWAC. One of the things we've talked about, and Trader Prad was mentioning in the middle of the day, DWAC and some of these names, like Lucid at times as well, the spread on these stocks. Like, I know they're doing decent volume and they're moving, but the spread on DWAC has been, and this was happening yesterday too, it's not just today, like 20, 30 cents, it would break a level and, the spread would open up to 30, 40 cents. Like, you were taking breaks, and I don't know if my trades are going to show here on maybe it's not going to show, yeah, whatever. It's not going to show the trades, but if you looked at when it broke this 60 level and tried to get up, like immediately, the second it ticked back below 60 even, the bid was at 59.50, right? So if you're taking a 60 break, and you're trying to hold through anything, like your first out, if you were trying to even hold it a bit, was sitting there at 50-cent loss on a breakout at a 60 even. That's not the friendliest environment for a day trader, and you can see the reversal it put in there. And sometimes the lack of the bid following it up, right? So if I'm on level 2, I happen to be watching Rivian here, but let's say you're looking at 85, an 84 break. If 84 was breaking, you see the bid tightening up a spread, and it's continuing, you see all these bids above here, that's great. But imagine a scenario where 84 has just broken, your offer is at 84.40, and there's no bids. It's like a few bids at 84.05, 06, and nothing in between, and the spread opens up to 30 cents. That tells me that all that push above the 84 was stops going off, triggering out of shorts, triggering into long positions, and nobody actually trying to get long above that price, which a lot of times can signal a reversal, which is not great for day traders if you're taking that breakout long. If you're in the money, it's fine, because if you're long DWAC from the morning or long from the dip, it's obviously a different story. But when you're taking those quick in and out breakout trades, which is the style we use a lot of times, you got to back away when we see the spreads at times like this. And by the way, pets, we just talked about sort of spread trading and trading inside of the range. Like, I got 68 short. It held it once, got a cent there, got a couple of cents there, it never broke down, and then I'm basically out almost flat when it breaks out of the range. And then if it gets to VWAP, I'll probably try the same thing, like 71, 72 up here. I might try the short on pets. It looks like you can maybe trade off of this 66 level at the bottom. I might start thinking about that long, but I wouldn't let it break the bottom on me. Maybe give it to 65 or so and make sure that you're only taking a cent hit. That's what you do when you're scalping or sticking to some tight levels and not over trading. That's what it's all about. I still want to look at Lucid and that pick stock that we're talking about. If it had popped again, I was definitely going to trade off 7. It looks like it's doing that other thing, which is going right back down and retesting the recent support. So pick. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a good pick if you had it this morning, but taking profits, never a bad thing. This one has showing some signs of rolling over at least.
Yes, sir, and we're going to go congratulations.
Finally,
we got to get some more.
We don't have an Ether one.
No, we don't have an Ether one, but we had so many cool Bitcoin ones here, Robbie, that are now gone. So, oops. Okay, we're fishing. Hey, what's up? Okay, so I'm going to say congratulations to anybody that was here with me. You saw me live on the show. get more Bitcoin down here at 40 grand. It was literally right when we went on air. Was it yesterday or was it 7th? What day is it today? The 11th. Okay, so it was a couple days. No, sorry. We're talking about the 10th. Yeah, yesterday. Right down here. So we bought some more at 40,000, back up to 43,000. Hey, is what it is right now. We'll see if Bitcoin can hold those bottoms. We talked about buying some at 40. We want to buy some again at 30. But there it is, man. A nice little runner. I heard Prad say next time it goes to 40, he'll buy. But I mean, you know, you got to pull the trigger at some point. There it is, back down there to 40 grand. We bought some. And I'm going to, like, you know, and again, just it's how I operate, man. Honesty for me is just what I'm trying to do to you guys. Be as honest as I can, tell you the positions that I'm in. And yeah, there's Bitcoin, another buy at 40. And honestly, I'll probably leave it alone if we dip into this area, 35, 36. I just don't see any real levels. Too choppy, obviously, until a level that all of us can see down here at 30 grand. So I think you gotta, you know, wait a little bit. But the last buy was there at 40, and I think you could have. I was just Bitcoin. I've told you, Bitcoin's the actually lightest holding that I have as far as crypto is concerned. So I did want to buy some more Bitcoin. Ethereum's my largest, followed by Cardano, then Solana, and now I'll have to check. Maybe Bitcoin took Solana out. But anyways, that's that trade. Just want to give everyone an idea of what we're looking at here for Bitcoin. I'm going to be buying it all the way down, and then hopefully, I lie. I won't be selling it on the way up. So we'll see. Hopefully,
that's always the problem.
That is always the problem with Bitcoin. And it's a problem for Lucid for me today because honestly, I have 48 trades, which is way too many for this. It's 48 different fills in here. Basically, it's all the same kind of talk where we're trying to go short some of these highs. The reason why I've switched over to, there it is. Yes. Finally, man, we got a nice little win on here and making back what we gave up there. But okay, so Lucid now coming back to the downside, good trade. The reason why I want to think, I mean, I don't know if it's going to be a good trade or not. Where did we just get filled there? O2s? Okay, that's good. I think that Lucid, again, you guys know we can look this up, and I think I got to do a little bit more research. I know Lucid's been a buy on a few social media handles and whatnot. The thing is, the lockup is coming on the 19th. Just look it up. It's coming on the 19th. So I am always thinking that at some point, someone's going to say, hey, Lucid, like, you're well up now, and maybe because lockup is coming a week from now, maybe we'll start to go down one of these days. But 8% up today, Lucid, no. So I'm going to do a little more work. Maybe there's not as many shares that are tied up in this lockup. You remember this period. I think this was maybe like the 90 days or something like that. They came out July. I don't know. Because it was a SPAC, I'm not sure what this day was exactly. This might have been the 90-day lockup, and now we're basically on the 6 month, which would make sense to me because here's July, and now you're coming up to January now. So that would make sense, I guess, if my math is right there. That should be about 6 months, right? July to January. So that's the 6 month lockup. This might have been, again, July to September. So maybe the 3 month lockup there, but needless to say, look at the damage. Lucid, I remember sitting here that day down to $15 on that day, and then ended the day at 18. So maybe we just wait for the day of the lockup, and then we'll go short. But what's up, Brendo?
Seeing the 19th, which may correspond to what you were just saying. But yeah, January 19th there, guys.
Yeah. So that's exactly. So yesterday we went into our meeting. I thought we were talking about something else, remember? And I was like, no, it's the 19th. But yeah, so I've got that implanted here. So we'll wait to see if we're able to make some money on that day. But again, like, I was actually looking to put on a put. So get an option on Lucid now, thinking that, but I just don't know a strike price. Do we have Daniel Shea on this week? Because, like, you know, maybe I'll just message her. You can all hit her up too, Daniel Shea. But I mean, I don't know. I just think if we expire, we probably head back to like the 40s, man. I don't know. So a little bit more work needed for Lucid, but that's why I'm favoring the short. I just feel like that lockup should mean something at some point. But the last couple of days, it doesn't seem to matter.
And it's not a crazy thing. Like, it's, as a day trader, a lot of times if you have that, it just gives you a directional bias until the event, right? Like, you can just say, okay, well, I'm looking for shorts until X, and it can be that date. I like that approach too. While Lucid just pulled back, I just said, forget it. I'm just going to get out of Rivian here. It kept holding in some tight range at 84, so I got out in front of 84. Not going to be positive on it. We did this trade. We did this for the trade of the day in the review to show you how just a couple of missteps and how some missed misreads on like where you want to get short and where you get those curls. That's the difference between sometimes being red or being green, because you can counter trend trade and get the win. And I wasn't even talking about here up at the top, which I didn't mind. Like I stopped out here and made that top wick. That's the cost of doing business. It's some of these entries that were sloppy on the way up that I wasn't a huge fan of. But as the market breaks to the top, we can talk about some good things here. The ES just took out 4,700. I've been whining and complaining about the fact that Morgan Stanley can't break out. Well, guess what? It finally broke out of that 105 level. Oh, my daily chart. It finally broke.
Morgan Stanley's up today, eh?
Yeah, it's up 1.8. So
Nice,
it finally
okay,
broke
good.
105. It's been basically in this same channel, 95 to 105, since about July, right? So getting out of here kind of makes a bit of a difference. It just got to that 106, and obviously you have a little bit of a wick here at 107, but it's finally getting some legs under it. Everything is up today. Like you'll be hard pressed to find a negative stock. I mean, okay, I'm lying. Like if I sort my corp board,
Yeah, I can sell lots, yeah.
obviously I'm gonna find. Look,
U.S. Steel. like
obviously Huddy, like some of the commodities names are weak. Moderna's crushed today, down 5%. But the last couple of days, you haven't had as strong. Like look at all the names on my personal corp board that I'm watching here for trading, between that 5 and 7% mark and up 1-2%. I mean, like the reason I noticed that Amazon and Uber is that they were so close to each other. It's like, come on, Uber, you should be doing better than 2% when Amazon's up 2. Amazon doesn't really have those big percentage gains.
Yeah, well, Amazon, been beat down again a little bit, and plus Rivian, a little bit of a bounce today is going to help out some Amazon. But I mean, Amazon's so much bigger than Rivian. That's probably not the right talk.
So I was talking about, it was more. It was more
You're surprised that Uber's not making a bigger move because it's a reopen play.
Yeah, I feel like on a day like today, I would have expected Uber to have gone 4 or 5%. As strong as the market.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
That's
why
the
not?
point.
Like a Peloton's up 6%.
Yeah, exactly.
EDOC up 6. Yeah, so I mean, some names that have been beat down, that would make sense. Okay, so I don't know, man. We're 40 cents in the money right now. I'm debating taking another piece out. We still have half of this trade, so we're making back what we lost here, shorting Lucid. But again, like let's get out now. Let's put another bid at 80. Okay. Did we just get run over there at 86? Yes, we did. Okay, good. So we just take another out there at 86, and now. You want to try to hit the home run? Like, I don't know, guys. I mean, we could try to wait for 44 and change, which would be nice if the market does fall on its face here. But, I mean, the way the market's going, it's at highs. And you might remember, like, when we were on Prad's show there, I said the NASDAQ's going to high. It was right down here. I said, I feel like the NASDAQ's going back to highs, and we just took it out. So I'm thinking now, looking at this, maybe we're a little top heavy near the 16,000 again, which has been a key level. So the NASDAQ, I mean, that's why today I'm a seller of positions that I've been in that I don't like, right? Mainly just TDOC, that's really all. We are looking at other names here today as well. I don't want to get out of some AMD, but that's a nice move back, especially if we do think the market has a little bit more to go. Remember, today's just a rally relief day. I really feel like today is a relief rally day, meaning it's just yesterday we were so beat down, and a great comeback in the market yesterday on the triple Qs, right? And then now today you're seeing it just an extension. Hopefully this will load. Where's my daily chart? Just an extension of the move yesterday, but we're still well off, and we're just getting back to where we were like 2 days ago right now. So I feel like the next leg maybe to the downside here. I mean, there's that ultimate bottom. I think we probably did hit this yesterday down there at 370. That's that 10%, right? We haven't pulled back 10% in forever on the NASDAQ. There's actually stats about that. We're like X amount of days away from a 10% pullback, and we just got it. This is the 10%. Like yesterday, this is what they said. We hit the 10% mark, 370 from 4. I mean, what's the high here? 408? So that's, $40. Yeah, $40 on 408. Yeah, so right to the downside. So that we hit it, and then a rally back. So I'm thinking today maybe a profit-taking day. An extension day into what people want to buy into a rally. But I still think that rally gets faded a little bit, and we do test a little bit lower here. So let's see if that is true. But whatever, the Q's right now at day's high, and I'm super happy, man. My account is loaded with high quality tech stocks, so pretty happy with that. Oh, and Nvidia starting to go back as well here.
Don't forget, we also get CPI coming.
Yeah, that's Friday, right?
Yeah, like when CPI numbers come through, of course you get bank earnings at the end of the week. Like we're going to have to be watching. Everyone's going to be watching any inflation indicator coming every single time up until March, because that's price stability is now going to be the main focus from Powell. You can see how emboldened he is now that you got the re-up. And suddenly you're talking about, okay, the balance sheet needs to go down as well. That didn't come until he was assured he had a job. So, I guess that's not a coincidence. SBEV from this morning, I know we talked about this. It was on the watch list, but I never got to trade off at $2. But it did have this right here just as we were ending the show. It got into VWAP, and then a big volume candle flush down about 10 to 15 cents, and then continue to the downside. Now you're right back
CPI
up to this
tomorrow?
170 price. Wednesday? Yeah, Wednesday morning? Yeah, that's going to be big.
Wow.
SBEV, I don't see a ton of size at this 170 level. But when I look at what happened here, just as we came off air at 11 o'clock, I do think it can be a fade off of that price. The volume isn't exactly spiking through the roof on this move, and it did already capitulate once at that exact same price level. So I think it's resistance. There is some size at 66, not a ton at 70, but I'm looking short side in this consolidation. SBEV. That's just me. DWAC is bouncing off VWAP. Rivian, maybe I shouldn't have got out of it. Whoops.
Is it tanking still?
It's we're through 85 at half load. There we go. Through 85 half, and we just broke VWAP. There is support back, I guess, at 82.5, but that could have been an extra $1 on that trade, which I am not going to be taking because I am no longer in it.
Holla. Yeah, we just got bounced around here a little bit on LCID. And thank you. A big super chat there coming through as well. Thank you so much, Parrish, man. And this is a good time. If you can, hit the like button. Hit the like for us if you can. Hit the subscribe if you're not already. 3,000 watching. I think we can get a 50% return here, as I think we're giving you guys more than 50% return on some of your holdings. But let's get this up to 1,000 for Ms. V. She's watching right now, so shout out to you, Ms. V. Can't wait to have her back in, hopefully later this week. So that'll be really nice. Parrish right there, thank you. I wonder what you took, but thank you so much for the $20. Call and puts. Maybe it was the Lucid call that we made up to the top side there. We're almost out of all of our Lucid, by the way, so just checking back in on that play as well. But thank you so much, Parrish. Maybe the good old Robert Parrish from Boston Celtic.
Wow.
Fame. How you like that?
The big three.
For an old name there.
Or you go even a level deeper.
Sure.
And then call out they had DJ, Dennis Johnson. You had the original multi-sport star, Danny Ainge. Danny Ainge, you guys know from the Celtics. He was a Toronto Blue Jay.
Where's my Blue Jay guy?
Legit you got to be to play in the NBA and in the MLB. He wasn't any good at baseball. He wasn't any good in the bigs. But I'll tell you right now, mad respect for Danny Ainge. Robert Parrish, man.
A lot of people don't know that, and they probably had no idea that we knew that.
I have a Robert Parrish card. I still have one of his basketball cards.
Oh, the blueprints are in the. Yeah. Let's not show them, man, in case someone zooms in. Whoa.
Yo, man.
Slow down, Neil. What are you doing?
They can't see the blueprint.
What are you doing showing those blueprints?
Can't show the blueprint.
What are you, Jay-Z? Blueprint?
Holla.
Another album. I mean, what is it? Okay, let's put this guy right here. This is Danny Ainge right there. So we'll put Danny Ainge right back there. That is the troll from the World Series, man. This is like an original troll there. So for everyone, I should put this on Prad's desk. He feels like he gets trolled all the time. But there we go. So there's the troll right there coming through. Shout out to Pradley Cooper as he has left the building and to fight apparently snow, which it's not snowing right now. So
thank goodness, man.
Yeah.
Well, because when he said he was going because the weather was really bad.
I gotta go shovel snow.
Man, do I have to shovel snow tonight?
I did like a little update there. Apparently no snow on ground. So Prad, he gone, as they say. So shout out to you, Prad. Great work, man. Take as much time off as you want, obviously.
It is cold.
Except for tomorrow. I mean, be right back here tomorrow, Prad. So shout out to you if you are listening, which he probably is not. Yes, exactly. There he is. So they see me troll. Yeah, they see me troll and Hayden. Yeah, good one there as well for you guys. So thank you so much for all the support on the chat. We like to have a little bit of fun here on the show, if you cannot tell. PayPal. So we just got a Lucid there. We're not out. We still have 30% of this initial short. Yeah, that's hilarious. Look at all these shorts of our latest short up here, and we finally got patient and waited for a high tick. We got it, and now we're going to hold out. We're going to try to make some of those winners, but there it is there. Hey, wow. Okay, Parrish. Okay, Parrish. 18 months. Holler at a boy, Parrish. Yeah. There you go, Parrish. Find me on Twitter. I want to send you a hat or a t-shirt or something. 18-month membership right there. Thank you for the super chat at Trader TV Sean, and you're going to be getting something. So thank you so much there, Parrish. Hit me up on, so 41 years old. Yeah, he's an old man, just like you and I, Neil. But very, very good.
That's young.
Yeah, you're 41 years
young,
my friend. So thank you so much, Parrish. Find me on Twitter, and I'll send you a little something there. So thank you, Parrish. 41 years, man. A lot of experience there.
Exactly.
And 18 months. Holla, thank you for the support. Brendo.
That's taking it back.
Just having fun with our friend Robbie over here. ILMN, huge mover today as well, kind of melting higher here as we head towards 420. And it's not that 420, it's 420, guys, on Illumina after a monster revenue forecast that topped expectations this morning.
It's different when it's 420, right? Like that's a whole nother level, like Key and Peele would say there. But like strong stock, and again, like there's a lot of things you can find that are strong in the market here. Lucid's back at 45. It might make another run at that high. Got it on the eyeballs. Like I took out Rivian, kind of regretting it here. I got back into pets because I said to keep the tight range at 68. If it fails at VWAP, it's hard to tell. I'll zoom in so you can see a bit better. I said if it failed at VWAP, I try to get it in a consolidation. So it tried to bust 70. It failed right here, 70.5. I'm now short right in front. So here's the thing, like when we trade a penny stock, because almost everything we trade is not a penny stock, it's gonna round to the even number. I'm short at 69.5, so I'll tell you guys, like shorting here, it actually matters whether you have the half short in front of that 70 level. And again, I'm just gonna try and range bound trade these up there. And then Lucid, I love what Sean's got on here, and I think that 40, assuming he still has it. Yeah, he does. And then if it retests that high and puts in a lower high at 45.5, that gives you a natural stop out level. And coming right back, sort of right back to that pick stock, it did a failed breakdown here through 615, managed to hold, and I think we talked about this before, like that breakout, this pullback was right in just below that $6 range. It bounces off this, and look at this support on the 1 minute chart here. That's at 594. It bounces right off that, snaps right back into the same range, but it's still in a bit of a downward trajectory. So I think suddenly it looks interesting off of that lower high at 650 to 660. I didn't pay for shorts, they were pretty cheap. But it looks like if it gets to that 650, it could be worth it with a 10-cent stop. Gonna have to get some bids out here on pets because I'm shorting 69.5. I want bids 67.5, 68, some more in that range. It's just a range-bound trade like we talked about on the outset of the show when we came on here. And it's not about over trading at this particular time. SBEV never really, I didn't get the fill on SBV. That's on Amex, that's why I keep screwing it up. Formerly the Amex. This is one I got it on, I got it on Pets to short off of VWAP. I never ended up getting it on Pets, so I tried to stick it on the offer at 166 and then it just started running away. That's probably, I'm not gonna chase that. Like if you're shorting this, and it's giving it to the 170 level, you're trying to risk 3, 4, maybe 5 cents at the most. If you're shorting it, 160, you're shorting it for 10 cents worth of risk. So that changes the entire litmus of the trade. So no chasing SBEV, I guess on the NYSE market. That's what I'm supposed to call it here?
I don't know if it's NYSE American. I don't know. Maybe we got to get, we could ask Brendan.
Can I just call it the Amex still?
Sure. You can call whatever you want. Yeah.
You guys know what I'm talking about, right? It's the Amex.
I mean, we call it the pink sheets.
Yeah, and it's OTC markets now, but this is the thing, like Parrish has been around for 18 months as a member, but you're 41 years old, so if you've been trading long enough, old habits die hard, man. Like I don't say NEO, I want to say NIO, right? Like you say Softy, like I'm not gonna, you can't stop doing that. But one stock we can talk.
It's Mr. Softy to you.
My bad. That's my bad. It's
I got you.
One stock we have not, well, maybe we did talk about this, but yeah, we were talking about lithium the other day. Well, we've been talking about lithium all the time. I think was it Goldman or maybe it was someone else in the chat mentioning, yes, you can get into an ETF. The ETF for the lithium ETF is LIT. That's a pretty cool one.
That's a cool one.
That's a good ticker. But Lithium America is here on a big bounce. They caught some upgrades here today. The daily chart's going to show you the big pullback that it's on, but look at those wick bottoms. It's like another thing with that crazy wick bottom and breaking back out. Just note the range. If this rally is a little bit subdued here, and remember, they don't make money yet, right? So they do fall into that bucket that we've talked about recently. Then you do have some resistance points where, hey, you get a nice little bounce. If you just picked it up on that dip, And where is the rest of my chart? I don't know where the afternoon went on this stock. Anyways, if you just picked it up on that dip, certainly you're getting a pretty hefty return, and you're running right into resistance points at 39. Then again, more importantly, in that low 40 range. But it's been a good runner. I like to play for the next couple of years when you just talk about supply issues when it comes to lithium, but specifically, Lithium Americas needs to still turn a profit, which gives you a ton of upside. Like, don't get me wrong, that cuts both ways. You get a ton of upside if the next couple of quarters work out well for them, but certainly taking profit. No one ever went broke doing it, last I checked, unless you take tiny profits and then gigantic losses, I suppose.
Yes. I can show you
That's the way that it can happen.
I can show you how to do that.
I've done it on reviews.
Yeah. We don't want to make too many mistakes there. Okay, so just to talk about what we're in a little bit here. Which isn't much. We're waiting to see if there's any sort of movements going to be happening into the close. Again, we did get that dump down, and if anything, we just talked about taking. And again, shout out to Parrish again, talking about some of these shorts off the market top there. I still feel like the market is a little bit top heavy right now, and we could fade out. We finished amazing yesterday at the close. Could come in today. We will be checking back, and it's not time yet, but we will check back, obviously. We will check back in on the imbalances as they come. Right now, obviously, Pets is on there, but that's nothing. They update at 350, so let's make sure that we check that. We will check it back, so don't worry, but just a little bit of an update on what we're waiting for. And the only trade that I'm in right now is Lucid. I did want to check back on DraftKings. I switched up, $27. So, a shout out to Nabir, I think it was, and I couldn't exactly see, but this call right here, and we made a little bit of a, shout out to my wife for doing this for me, but this call out here on the sticky note, DraftKings, $25 today was on the sticky note. Look where we are right now on DraftKings, up to 27, and I want to give a big thanks to Nabir today for sticky note was the best call for him today. So a big shout out to you. Thank you so much for that one. We'll put that out, and again, this is what we're trying to do, like get you guys a little bit involved on the social media side of things as well. So follow us all. You can see here on our chat that I think it's Nightbot is what Brad has employed for us. And it will say at Trader TV Sean, at Trader TV Neil and Brendan, and at Trader TV Live. So just make sure, and I'm just going to say this as a public service announcement, and then we'll get back to trading. There's been many a time, of course, where not only you, but many of your colleagues and even us, there are a lot of fake accounts out there, man. We're not going to message you for any reason whatsoever. So, if you've hit us up first and we're getting back to you, that's completely fine. But just make sure that you're talking with us. There's been, I hope no one's been scammed, and I don't think anybody has. But, do not send Bitcoin to any of us, Valeria, Trader Pratt as well. There's a lot out there, people looking to scam you guys. So I know our audience is smarter than that, but still, it happens all the time, and I just feel horrible because it's hard enough to make money, let alone, throwing it away to something that you didn't want to. So let's just, stay real on that topic, and we're here for you, but please don't ever send us any Bitcoins or anything like that, especially if you're not sure if it's our account. We never, ever, ever will be reaching out to you guys first, okay?
Yeah, exactly. We're never asking for any of that kind of stuff. But what we are going to do is show you what we're in. Look, I'm waiting. Come on, Lucid, give me an entry point. I'm looking for that SPEV. I still have DWAC up here. It's trying to bounce off VWAP. It's not really going anywhere. So Pets, which, and one of the things that we talked about this for scalping, I'll extend upon that. When the range that you break, that you were trading off of breaks, just sort of reestablish a new level. That's all I did here. Reestablish a new one, and was going to be probably that 70 because if VWAP held here. If VWAP had broken, I would have looked back into 72. And yeah, it might just be 2, 3, 4, 5 cents, whatever it might be in a penny stock, but that can work here in this particular name. So I just got some shares out in front of 68. I'll get some bids down 67 and 66, and it's rinse and repeat and not necessarily overtrade too much. I did want to come back to one other one because we talked a little bit about Intel. Sort of failing to capture the short trade that I liked off of that 56, that top. We're getting real close to the same level. And every now and then the market gives you 2 cracks at something, right? And I'm looking at this. This is the daily chart. That's what the 56. So ignore the aftermarket. This pump up, that's the aftermarket. This is the top on the daily at 56.20. Look how many times it's rejected that level recently. So when I came in today and was looking at this is why I'm not happy with myself for not shorting it. Well, guess what? We're right at $56. We only have 25 minutes to go at the end of the day. Intel is absolutely notorious for coming out with big imbalances that get paired off. So getting into a trade in Intel right before 350, not always the wisest of decisions because it'll just come out big one way or the other, make some kind of like 10, 15 penny move that gets you out of a trade, and then it'll end up pairing off into the end of the day. But tomorrow, if we get a shot at this same price area, 56, with a rejection of 56 and a quarter or so, that is a good level on Intel. But it also gives you potential for a breakout because as far as I'm concerned, when this is post-market price action, gapping up and then completely rejecting it, that break is still valid. Like we haven't broken out of this level. You look at the daily, there is no breakout at 56 and a quarter on Intel. It just traded above there on the news of getting Micron's CFO, I think it was, and then that ESG thing, which I don't think really mattered too much. But anyways, it's still valid, that price level at 56.25. I might have missed it today, but if I miss it tomorrow, you can, well, I'll slap myself in the face with a graphic, but you guys can chastise me in the chat if that sets up and I don't get it.
Brendo?
For those still watching DWAC, guys, just a heads up, broke that support. We had it 62.5, 62.60, so a big volume spike there to the downside for DWAC. Still, though, almost 11%.
The day I don't short the top on DWAC.
Yeah, wow, DWAC continuing. We can look at it quickly here for you guys. I know Brendan just had it up, but yeah, there it is again. We talked about, I feel pretty good about it because we talked about that yesterday, and I said, look what happened yesterday literally at this time. We took out the high. This is at 315, right? We took out $60. What time was this at? 3. We took out the high of 66 and then just smacked right back in. But again, trying to build a level here. This may be an awesome, a decent spot anyways. I don't know about awesome, but a decent spot to go long as, oh man, we built those little ellipses and now they're gone. But again, maybe this is a new, so this was a new level. We talked about yesterday, 57, 58, a new level. So wondering about getting involved here, maybe even a little bit lower, like wow, that came pretty close, man, like 61.30. You can't argue with that. To get that, you'd be in the money $1 right now. So I think, back into this level, probably worth it here for DWAC. So definitely have a look there. If you're interested in this name, I think it's worth it. DWAC right now, maybe on the bottom of 61, 62 bucks. You play it to see if it rips to the upside, and you have your out at 60. So risk and reward, plan that appropriate. But if that's going to be your plan, then I think you could be successful here with DWAC. So let's see if that can come through. I might just get out, man. We were just waiting for 60s on Lucid. That didn't come. It looks like the bottom's going to be 80. So with only, wow, we still have a little bit of time left, man. Maybe Lucid will come back to the downside. I'm going to still hold out for my bid at 60. I know that maybe a little bit silly, and I can admit that, but we'll wait to see if Lucid comes back down, takes out this 44.60. But we are noticing, guys, a big bounce here. Every time it comes to 80, it's bouncing off of it. So if you are in this short or looking to do something with it, you may want to watch out for 80, but I'm going to hold down for this level, honestly, down here in the 60s. Maybe we wick down just a little bit. So that's what I'm looking for.
I just threw it in the chat. So it was a question that Jersey Recycler asked what VWAP meant. And look, we get all kinds of viewers. People have been trading for years, trading for months. Maybe it's your first day, even thinking about trading. So there's no bad questions. I don't care. Don't feel like it's, I should already know this. The only indicators I have in my chart are VWAP and volume, which I think should always have volume. But I just popped in. We have videos on like a bunch of stuff. I almost said a bunch of crap, but a bunch of topics. VWAP was one of our first ones actually. So check it out. I put the link in the chat there. Watch it. You can always just run a search probably on the channel or on that other Market Wisdom page that we had there. But it's all about education here. So please don't hesitate to ask those questions. Even if, like I said, we have a quick, all I had to do was cut and paste a video for you. You can go ahead and learn about that particular indicator. And you will see us reference it from time to time. I know major funds, well, a lot of times they'll sort of be judged, or at least their trade desk will get judged on how closely they're able to get VWAP. And that's why you see it gravitate towards that price. essentially, it's a very interesting metric where you'll get gravity. It's almost like pulling stocks in when it gets too far away from VWAP. And again, that can be a sign. It can be one indicator of how far a stock is overextended in regards. I love to use it in particular, not for entries, but usually a lot of times for exits if I'm doing a retracement trade. And speaking of it, you're now back below that on DWAC, still up 11%. Someone asked here, what happens when Truth gets launched? Once this is launched, one of the things that you're probably going to want to look at is its user growth and its total user numbers relative to the other platforms that are out there, right? And then look at its valuation. Because I'll tell you, like if it starts when it's lagging Twitter, a lot of people are going to be bullish to look at something like a DWAC. If it's lagging Twitter in those types of metrics relative to its valuation. And when we did some really, really lazy and rough math, saying if it was 10% the size of Twitter at the time for Twitter's valuation, and this is months ago, so obviously the price has changed. You could basically say that DWAC relatively was worth it was like $300 or something like that a share. Now obviously that's rough, like table napkin math that we're doing on the day of. But this is why the stock is not necessarily going. And I'm not sitting like this is who cares about the politics of it? Like we're here to trade and understand how the stock traded as high and why there are still buyers when this hasn't launched yet. It's about understanding price action, what it can do, why it might do it, where you can get into it, what the potential upsides might be, what are your downside risks. Again, like I said, I'm waiting for it to break the 70 level. Because the 66, like it established it, I decided to sit that out today, and it probably would have been a good one. Next level up is 70. So I made the choice to sit out shorting it until 70 after trying 65 a few times, and 66 would have been golden. So that wasn't the right call. That was the wrong call altogether. But you got to maybe be able to stick to your guns here, and then at least structure a trade, have a plan. And if you follow your plan and it doesn't work, guess what? You can live with that. It's when you don't follow your plan and it doesn't work that you're going to be upset with yourself. Like the only times I get down is when I make a mistake. Like a mistake that costs me like a small amount is going to make me like I'll be much more upset and it'll linger with me a heck of a lot more than losing any sum of money over a trade. It's like, yeah, but that was part of my plan. I planned on taking that trade. I took the amount of shares I wanted. I got out at the price I wanted and it lost. So what? We had our office poker game. I got my aces cracked to literally end the tournament. So what? If you lose with it in against aces when a guy's on a gut shot, are you upset that you insta-called? Of course you're not. Why would you be? So when you follow your plan, you should be able to live with it. And if you can't, that usually means that there's something wrong with the plan, or B, that you put too many shares on and you had too much risk. Because if you can't handle the losses that you planned for, then on some level, you're probably extending yourself a little bit too far. Anyways, I've ranted far enough. It's 3:54 here. I only have pets on. That's why I can do this.
I think that was a fair rant, and I think it makes a lot of sense, right? If you can ever equate things to a poker game or something that you're passionate about, or I think that helps, right? And so I like that. And I think it makes sense. So okay, you always talk about. That Annie Duke, it's Annie Duke, right?
Yeah, it's Annie Duke.
Talking in bets. Is that
it's thinking in bets. And you know what's cool about this? Someone this afternoon was asking about Prad's interview, like how did he get hired? And I told this story of our floor manager Greg, who he's remote today. He's not sitting on the floor.
Yep.
He had an interview scheduled with Greg. Was way back when we originally hired him, and Prad was late. And then I ended up doing it because I'm like, I was free at that point.
He was shoveling snow, they said.
I don't know what it was.
Yeah. It was the summer.
Yeah, I'm sure he was shoveling snow. Anyways, I ended up doing it, and one of the things that was cool about Prad and why he, despite the horrible start, being late, making someone else do the interview, I'm doing it when I wanted to be trading at that moment. So I came into it kind of thinking, okay, what if this guy, it's not going to happen. But he was brutally honest about himself and evaluating the decisions he'd made in his life up to that point. And I mean just like brutally. And a trader has to be able to do that. You've got to be able to say, man, that stunk. That decision was terrible. Maybe it worked out, but these are the reasons why I didn't like it, and this is how and he was able to do that. I love that characteristic, and I'll tell you, Prad's got it in spades. That's why he does the show. That's probably why everybody loves him in the midday show. And if you're not watching from 11 to 2, I don't know what's up, man, because I think he does a fantastic job. And again, it was a cool interview. I'm not in any way advocating being late and then just try to make up for it. Don't be late to interviews. It's pretty disrespectful. But at the end of the day, he managed to get out of it because he wowed me. So good on Pratt for doing that. But yeah, anyways, thinking in bets from by any Duke, it's about evaluating your thought processes and not results. And that works in poker and that works in trading. As you can tell, I played a little bit of poker, too much online back when it was a thing during the NHL strike, but I'm probably getting into too many rants at this point.
Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, okay, some people read that thinking in bets. They like it. That's good. Some people can't stand Prad. Some people like Prad. Okay, good. Yeah, so that's what we're here to do, right? Give everybody a little bit of everything. Okay, so 3:44, almost time right now to get going on a closing imbalance and or closing strategy. So let's wait to see if there's anything popping off. We talked about trying to buy SoFi earlier in the day, and wow, SoFi nicely done to the upside today. What a great move SoFi's been. How low can you go? Again, another name that's on the sticky note that we didn't get into. We missed it by a couple pennies today. We were more in the 13 teens. It only goes down as far as 13.20 today. But again, another name that's been absolutely beat down. I still cannot fathom why I didn't get out up here. Same reason like I got out of DraftKings up here when it failed, and then SoFi, the same thing. When it failed back at these highs, there was no reason to hold on to SoFi up here, and then you just get punished all the way back down. So again, hopefully SoFi can get going. It's a name I like for 2022, but again, not really performing well considering, is this a bank? Is it a new bank? What's going on with SoFi? They don't even have that charter yet. Hopefully that comes through. And I'm scared because I almost feel like that's a sell the news, buy the rumor event. But obviously no one's buying this rumor here today. So it's not a rumor today, just something that we're waiting out for SoFi. And then there's a lot of talk about also like, oh, the Super Bowl is at SoFi Stadium. But I hear Prad talking about it. Sure, it's nice that it's there, but really? I don't think that's going to move the needle a couple billion on that market cap like it would be nice to have. But here's AMD pulling back in a little bit, but still up that 4% and a bit today. So a name that's super strong. It looks like it's starting to, well, actually, no, wait, hold on a second. I thought it was coming back in a little bit. No, not really. We dipped down to that 137 area now. Still trying to take out, I don't think we'll take out 138, but we're getting very close to that. The imbalances are now 4 minutes away. And honestly, man, like that last out on Lucid at 87, I mean, is that the best it's going to get? I got to fix my stop order now as Lucid just kind of hanging out. What's up, Brendan?
Another one having a pretty good day, guys. Virgin Orbit back to the upside. Day highs right now. Planned launch announced this morning for Wednesday for their first trip up to deliver some satellites. So nice move this morning on that news. We're back to 11 where we were this morning for VORB.
Wednesday.
Back to previous
Wednesday?
prices. Yeah.
That's tomorrow.
That's tomorrow.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
Ooh, okay.
I should have just said tomorrow. I kid, of course. It's a little bit late in the day to try to short pops. But if I was doing if this happened a little bit earlier, I probably would be fading this year. I love SpaceX, and I'm holding bag on the last of my Virgin Galactic shares. I'm a bit of a nerd, so I believe in space tourism when a lot of people might not. But when it comes to this latest venture, I think you're trying to win in a game that Elon's going to absolutely beat the crap out of them in. And I think this one had been a fade off of these previous levels before. I can't pull this chart back for some reason. But just $11. If I get a chance, if I look at this tomorrow in the pre-market and it has a failure up at 11 before we get any news, I think it might be a quick sell the news event off here. You can see the wick top it made, and it just basically turned into the same thing here. I was going to, only because we didn't talk about this much today, but we actually, remember we ended the show talking about the Tesla deal with TLO?
Yep.
So I just wanted to quickly, for anyone that was wondering what happened to the stock, I traded it a bit. It's barcoding, but it was just an unbelievable selling opportunity at the open. As it gapped up. This is in Toronto, by the way. You can trade it in the OTC markets. This will be in Canadian dollars, obviously. So when I say it was at 90 cents, that's in Canadian dollars. But it gapped up. It was up like 50% in the session. And then right at the open, it was kind of hugging this like 85, 86 level. Believe it or not, I was in a long, got out at like 89, and then just absolutely died. I wish I had reversed. I did not. I tried scalping it in and out there, got in and out flat one time, and then just it stopped moving, and I gave it up. Like, it is just barcoding. So a bit of a nothing burger there. It ended up selling the news. I think maybe the volume should have been the indication. When volume dropped off so much, it might have been turned into a short at 76, 77 cents. But yeah, it got the Tesla bump. It gapped up. Still, if you look at a daily chart, That's not a bad story at all. But you look at what happens, and this is the reason why we always say when in doubt, zoom out, because it gapped right into its previous high at 90 cents. And then the second it tried to get back up to the second time, remember I showed you that wick up to 87, 89? Yeah, reversed, and once it did that, it was absolutely gonzo, right back into 72. Like maybe it finds support at 60 cents, but sometimes you get that news story, and it overextends itself. It finds some sellers. I don't want to call them, you cannot sit there and say, these were bag holders at 90 cents, because look at the chart, right? Like no one's holding any bags at 90 cents. Like this thing has only been going up, and it could be in the midst of a breakout. So we brought it to your attention. Not much happened here today, but for as far as penny stocks go, like that is not a bad looking chart, right? And they just got the Tesla news, so it'll be on the radar. Just nothing happened here today.
Yeah, no, but yeah, good. I'm surprised nothing really happened there today. Guys, we're less than 1,000 likes right now. If we can get that bumped up there, that'd be fantastic. I think it's the best trading show on YouTube. Let me know, tweet at me if you find a better one. I'd like to watch it. And not only that, but we are completely free and 8 hours a day. So hit that like. You could see the blueprints here. Lots of work in the background happening. And the show can, it won't cease to exist. But we need to have the support from you guys. Let's throw over to Brendan for some news.
We were talking about some airlines early on this morning with strength coming back into this group throughout the day as well. Delta just popping up here, guys, on some volume. 41.20. Thursday pre-market, we'll get Delta earnings and we'll get Taiwan Semiconductor earnings.
All right, thank you for the nice comments there. Is exactly on the chat. Best show, hands down. Well, whatever. I'm a little biased, so but
we're
thank you so much.
We're the best, man.
Yeah, we're the best, man.
We did it.
Yeah, we did do it. That is for sure. And you guys have to look that up to see where that is from. Great little YouTube pieces right there.
Eli Porter can drop rhymes. I'm just gonna say it.
He can drop bars, yeah.
He drops bars. He's legit, and I'm not even joking when I say it. Like the guys, it's like a longer piece on Eli Porter, and it was kind of jokes. But he's got some. He definitely has a little bit of talent in there. I'm a big fan. There was that SBEV, so I didn't chase it. 350 imbalance just came out, and this broke the top. So just popped in there. I know we missed imbalances. We're gonna get to those in a quick second, but that SBEV broken VWAP now looking like it makes a run. $2 tomorrow. Check that level. That's the big one.
Okay, so LVS right now, it just looks like they're the biggest buy on this board. But you can see, maybe I'll zoom in so we have a little quicker look here. And part of being the best is giving you something that nobody else does. So again, imbalances, we're trying to educate you. No, it's a buy. Market is heading to the sell side, though.
It came down.
Yeah, which is kind of strange there. So Ford also on a sell, back down to 24.20. Not a great name today for Ford trading. I'm just showing you what's happening here to some of these names. BAC has been like a buy every day. Like, wow. Someone tweeted at me that BAC was a buy at 46. You've been right on that one. ATVI as well as a buy. Let's see. Yeah, that's starting to edge up a little bit here. And that's about it. I don't really see too many other names that are of interest. Maybe PayPal. I mean, I see the banks here. They're both buys. JPM and WFC. PayPal with a sell instantly hits this thing down from 192 down to 191.30, so a nice little movement. And that's why sometimes you hear us say, we're holding out for these imbalances, because if you're short PayPal, you just got an extra 60 cents right there, right? So it can go both ways. We don't know which way it's going to go, but generally the momentum will reign supreme on that. So, and there it is, man. We'll stop talking about it, but not much happening other than WFC, JP Morgan, all buys. You can see that, and BAC, but I don't see anything else.
Yeah, and that LVS, by the way, just when I said that's a buy, because this is what happened to Las Vegas Sands. Obviously, it's up 7% on the day. So the imbalances wasn't to pair off or take profits, but it actually had a bit of a down candle. Like when 350 came out, the algos went the other direction, which was selling it off. So my guess is that's probably going to pair off. Just going to throw that one out there. I don't think that's going out on too much of a limb if they're already selling and dragging it back down into VWAP. The other thing that happened, and I know Arun usually we'll talk about the futures, but we're hanging right at the top. The ES just broke back down below 4,700. I was showing you the NASDAQ right at that top, but the ES back below 4,700. As impressive as the rally has been, I think Sean's alluded to a couple times. We've shown individual charts that have shown you this. as big as this rally has been, the wick bottom, we're just right back into some interesting consolidation levels. I mean, if I pull back the 60-minute on the ES here, you can kind of see, like, we've had some breakouts past this 4,700 level. We're just still basically right into the same level of resistance that had been established. We have a few days above on a breakout where we just slam back down. So, yes, good, but you have inflation numbers coming tomorrow. We get bank earnings coming on Friday. And we're not breaking back out just yet. Like, we have to churn through some of this, and then we can consider ourselves breaking back out and breaking this recent downward trend. So not out of the woods yet. Jerome, who's not going to do anything to help us, but
AMC, yep.
It's what it is. AMC?
A little bit. I mean, probably on the imbalance. What is up to Phil? Phil McCracken, a big supporter of the show as well, saying AMC, AMC, AMC. So there it goes now. AMC, and again, I don't have, a lot of you will have the diamond hands. I thought, yeah, that's right. We don't have that crazy ape on here. But there it is, a nice little bump in volume. We can check. I didn't see AMC on here, but no, I'm not going to sort it by, I mean, we can sort it alphabetically, but if it's not like in the hundreds of thousands, then who really cares? So AMC right now, nothing on the imbalance, but a nice little move back up. We did talk about, oh, wow, like, why didn't I notice this? Phil, why aren't you yelling at me when it's down here, bro? AMC, we talked about that, trying to get some, if we ever went back down to these lows, should have looked at it. And again, this is where it always pays off, man, when you guys are like looking at a stock and you stay with it all day. This is part of the problem. Like sometimes when Rivian or Lucid or something's ripping, we're busy on the show right now and we miss some of these moves. So that would have been a great one down there at past support that we hit earlier. But it doesn't matter. We missed, the trade's not on, but yeah, just for tomorrow, 22.20 again right there. So we'll watch out for that on AMC. BarkBox, just thanks to Justin again. I know he was a big contributor today on twice today, up to 475, and is like, I was like saying, I checked my account, actually, I don't have that much of this, thank God. I thought I was in this a little deeper, but I'm not, so I didn't even sell today. This was a name that I would have sold, but I'm not super deep into it, but we're down like 50% on this name. But BarkBox all the way back in here, 475. We'll see if there's some continuation there tomorrow, but a name that's done 15 million shares, which is way outsized for BarkBox. If there was any more time in the day, I would smash this thing right here at 455. Just smash this to the downside. I don't think it holds this, and I think it's down tomorrow. So I would normally I'm all about giving you guys swing plays for tomorrow, but honestly, not with
CPI, it doesn't make any sense.
Exactly. So that was the same thing I was just going to say. Like, what's the point when we don't really know what's going to come through tomorrow? Like, is Microsoft, I mean, Microsoft's not a swing candidate. It's probably too expensive unless you're playing options. But, like, what is this going to do? It's down today in a green print for the NASDAQ. Microsoft down in a green day. So again, not looking good, and it's hard for me to say what this is going to do tomorrow. Like, inflation's what, 6 or 7 right now?
Yes.
Like, what's going to happen if they come out and either confirm that number and or the CPI indicates a higher inflation number there for tomorrow. So we'll wait to see, but the market could honestly get its handed to it tomorrow. So today is not a day to go in there and buy. I was actually doing the opposite. I hope I'm wrong because, hey, I'm hella long. Like, I'm like 98% in, like 2% cash. It's something like that, honestly. But, we can always get more money in there. But I'm a little bit nervous for tomorrow. What's up, Randy?
Randy in his house. I don't know who's doing the bell today. I had fun doing it yesterday, but we'll figure one out.
Randy's doing it. What do you mean?
Randy is doing it?
Yeah, he's right there.
Okay, Randy, you're doing the bell today. Someone asked, I saw Starbucks a couple of times in the chat, and when I was going on that whole, my quote board is not the entire market. My quote board are the names that I'm looking at, some of which are just for day trades. Some I've been following for the last couple of weeks because they've been hot and they end up on my iPad. So it's not representative of the whole market, but as I was saying, you couldn't find too many negative names. Starbucks is on the lows of the day, just broke. It was a small buy imbalance. It still went down anyways and is now breaking recent support here at 104. So Starbucks continues to be under pressure. But when it took out this low and went down, that was on a small buy imbalance. So much like I think it was Las Vegas Sands, you sold off on a buy imbalance there. 2 minutes to go.
Why is Starbucks down, though?
We definitely safely think we're going to be positive. I don't think the NASDAQ has any chance of ending up in the red here today. So Ms. V will be happy about that. Maybe she will not be happy. She'll be mildly happy about the 1.1K likes, but she'll be happy to see that. Of course, She's been in the chat in the mornings. I mean, obviously all day long.
I mean, it's really too bad that Miss V gets paid based on likes. I mean, if you
well,
guys,
yeah, I know we have to.
It is what it is.
It is what it is.
Keep telling these guys. Okay, so I'm really. Oh, that's Microsoft. I wanted Starbucks.
Right.
I don't know why Starbucks. We only have a minute and a half here. This is an interesting name to me here because I don't understand why this name has been so beat up the last couple of days and not, I mean, I think it's because of China and some of the exposure that they have over there in China, but some Chinese names have been rallying. So, you know why? Starbucks unionizing
It was a union
too.
thing.
Yeah, so that could be one of the cases. Let's just get out of our Lucid. Let's make sure we cancel that. We'll put a bid here if we're lucky enough to get picked up. Well, there it is. No, we didn't get. Oh, did we get? No, we didn't. We almost got picked up there at 23, but almost is not good enough. Lucid with our last little out there. We took a 45.09 bid on Lucid, and our last short actually was the one that paid down some of our losses. So that was a good call there on Lucid. But now we're starting to rip back up with only a minute left. Let's just put another bid here and get out. There we are, out at 36 to conclude our Lucid trade. Quickly, Brendan.
Just quickly, guys, on Starbucks, they also came out with this morning. By 2030, they're going to double their annual spending to $1.5 billion to suppliers. So,
2030, like honestly, man, I'm tired. Like that's just stupid.
No, ask you
It's fine, it's great. Like, but I don't need to know 8 years out. Like, I mean, something else could happen that completely changes that. So
will
exactly. That's
100% will. Like that's you can't make that. That's
like 8 years out. I guess it's their plan rolling into 8 years. But more work needs to be done. As we only have 10 seconds to go, and Randy is on the bell as the NASDAQ right now rocking to day's high, up 1.5%. 3, 2, 1. All right. It's a good one. Yeah, it's a good one.
Yeah, well,
I'll take that. I'll take that. Some days, there we go. Randy's walking away now.
He's chill.
Yeah. He's going to go,
You don't seem happy, Randy. What's going on?
Oh,
it is cold. You're right. It's cold out.
And Randy lives about 4 hours north, so it's a lot colder up there.
Real lumberjack.
Real lumberjack style. No, it's not 4 hours. What is it, 1 hour on a good day? Hour and a half. Wow, I was way off there. Hour and a half in. Wow, that's dedication. Brendan, NASDAQ looks like we almost took out the high of the day. How did that look?
Yeah, pretty good day, guys, right across the board. Positivity back after yesterday. 0.9 to the upside for the S&P, 0.4, 1.4 for the NASDAQ, as we said when we came on at 2. Tech back in action, back to the upside, 0.8 here in Toronto. Nice day for cryptocurrencies as well. Bitcoin 2.5, 5.3 for Ether, guys.
There's a comment on here about Randy, or sorry, it was about Randy, but also that Arun ringing the bell was the best. But do we still have that clip? I remember you took that, Rob.
Good.
Oh, you didn't really save it. We'll have to find that day because I feel like we should just show that clip every once in a while because
that was a great clip.
I've honestly never seen Arun's face like that ever. Like I don't know what he was doing there. Like
that's what makes it so good.
A man obsessed with hitting that bell, boy. But shout out to you, Arun. Thank you always for throwing down. We're gonna do something funny right now. So I want to do Rob. I want to do a big shout out to Prad. So let's say hi to Prad again.
There he is.
Hey, Pratt, how's it going there, buddy? Yeah, I hope that shoveling snow is working out well for you there. There he is. Yeah, and what's up to Ms. V as well? Hey, how's it going there, Ms. V? But we kid that show. And part of it, Neil, the blueprints.
Yeah, don't show the blueprints, man.
What am I doing? I keep showing the blueprints there.
Come on, man.
Anyways.
You're not seeing it yet.
Yeah, so pretty soon, man, we have a big setup coming for you. Things are going to change and look... a lot. I don't want to say better. I think everything looks great now,
but
it'll
be better.
It is going to be better. That's why we're doing it. So a shout out to everybody. Keep joining us every day, and it's not going to take too long. I mean, you see what's happening behind us right now. The thing is, we're sitting on a trading floor here in Toronto, so it's not just our studio. We're building, the trading floor into a studio, converting it. So there's lots of work to do. A big shout out to Rob today and to Lucas. Thank you so much, guys. One more time. There it is. Hardworking guys there for sure. And then a big shout out. Well, who else? Who did I miss? Maggie, Natalie, Randy, Rob, Mark, Vitaly, everybody in the back there. Michael, if I forgot anybody, I don't think I did now. Rob, Randy, Mark,
Justin.
Michael, Vitaly. Shout out to Justin as well today. Big time help. And of course, a shout out to our friend. Normally we're in a 3 box by now, or a 4 or a 5, but there he is. Brendan always there. Still, look, this guy looking for earnings. The guy looking to see what's going on.
No, it's just Moody's guy saying interest rates will rise faster because of the impact of Omicron on the economy is likely to be temporary. So they don't think it's that bad.
Yeah.
We'll take
Okay, I'll take it.
Yeah, and what was it? Someone came out today and said Omicron, after that, it's over with. I forget who that was, but we've already heard President Biden say the same thing. So doctors, they are not, but we'll see. Hopefully, fingers crossed that we can get through all of this. But thank you, guys. Your trade was Rivian, so let's pay attention to that. It's your trade of the day, and it's coming up next. We'll join you tomorrow. CPI is going to be hella spicy. So join us tomorrow at 8:30, and we'll crack that open for you.
Buckle up.
See you guys.
Bye, guys.